Chapter 256. Just by looking at Long Yu's martial Dao realm, no one would have guessed that he would have so many good things on him. Wen Luan was stunned for a moment. "Little fella, you seem to have a lot of good stuff with you." "It's nothing much. Senior Wen, how many crystal cores are these things worth?" Long Yu said with a smile. Among the things he took out, there was a transcendent spiritual rank combat weapon, the blazing banner, and another transcendent spiritual rank combat weapon, the pair of battle axes that belonged to the Axe King, Lin He. The appearance of these two combat weapons was shocking enough. Not to mention that Long Yu had also taken out the corpse of Gui Gu's demonic beast. The corpse of Gui Gu's demonic beast, a rank 7 true spirit realm demonic beast, had many parts that could be used to refine combat weapons. Not to mention that Gui Gu's demonic beast core was still intact. Only its demonic spirit essence had been absorbed by Long Yu. After all, even if Long Yu did not absorb the demonic spirit essence, it would still dissipate with time. These things are worth a lot. The scarred butler's complexion slightly changed. He first took out the battle soldier flame banner and examined it. The disdain he had for Long Yu had long disappeared. This was a good opportunity for the border city trading firm to make money. As one of the 7 major sects of the Great Tang Kingdom, the Hidden Fire Palace was incomparable to a city like the Northern Sea Border City. However, the Blazing Banner had a great effect on fire-type martial skills. A transcendent spiritual rank combat weapon like this would be extremely powerful in the hands of a martial cultivator that cultivated fire-type martial skills or comprehended the law of fire. It was a pity that beast cultivators could not use the combat weapons of human cultivators. Otherwise, Long Yu would have given it to the little fox. 3 crystal cores. The butler quickly came to a conclusion and said to Long Yu, "In my opinion, this combat weapon is worth more than 3 crystal cores." To everyone's surprise, the middle-aged man, Wenlin, said calmly, "Although not many people would need such a weapon. If it was placed in an auction and people who needed it competed with each other, it would definitely be sold for at least 5 crystal cores." "Wen Luan, you're ruining my plan." The scarred butler's face sank. "I'm just telling the truth." The middle-aged man, Wen Luan, shrugged. A smile appeared on Long Yu's face. This Wen Luan was indeed not bad. He was quite loyal. Even if he offended the Border City Trading Company because of this, he still stood on his side. Compared to the previous Liu clan and Liu Fuji, this was much more reliable. "Humph." The scarred butler snorted coldly, then said, "Although this flame banner can be sold for the price of 5 crystal cores in the auction, in order to attract enough martial practitioners who train in flame martial skills to participate in the auction, we will need to pay quite a bit. For crystal cores, no more. Sell it if you want. Our Border City's exchange hall doesn't specialize in losing money. Look at the others first." Long Yu said indifferently and pointed to the pair of axes at the side. This pair of battle axes has already developed a vague consciousness. They must have been fused with a martial cultivator before. To be honest, a battle weapon like this is rather low in value. The scarred butler weighed the pair of battle axes and squinted his eyes. 2 crystal cores. Long Yu did not respond, but looked at Wen Luan, who was wearing a black robe. Wen Luan nodded this time. The main reason it was fused with a martial cultivator was that after fusing with a Heaven Awakened, the battle weapon would develop a vague consciousness. This consciousness was the product of the previous owner. It was indeed difficult to sell such a battle weapon. Many people were not willing to buy a second-hand good. Of course, such a battle weapon's power was still at the superior spiritual level. Therefore, many martial cultivators with insufficient funds were willing to buy it to increase their combat power. The price of 2 crystal cores was still considered fair. This rank 7 true spirit secret realm envoy Gui Gu's body still has its inner core, which is worth 3,000 crystal coins. That's not a big deal. The key is the pair of wings, which can be used to refine into a battle weapon that can increase one's speed. Such a battle weapon is very valuable. Scar Butler said as he observed the corpse of the Ghost Valley envoy. Plus, the Ghost Valley envoy has always lived in groups and can only be found in the Soul Valley Demon Kingdom. It's not easy to get the corpse of the Ghost Valley envoy. Before the Scarred Butler could state his price, when Luan had already secretly raised 5 fingers at Long Yu. 5 crystal cores. This envoy Gu's body was worth at least 5 crystal cores. If the wings could be refined into a speed battle weapon, the price would be even higher. It might be worth 10 crystal cores, or even more. Only then did Long Yu realize that the wings of Gu given to him by the Jintian clan were worth so much. Although the wings of Gu was just a broken battle weapon, it was definitely worth 10 crystal cores. After all, it was a superior spiritual level speed treasure. 5 crystal cores. The scarred butler finally named his price. The price was exactly the same as what Wen Luan had said. It could be seen that the scarred butler knew that Wen Luan was on Long Yu's side, and he did not want to offend Wen Luan. In other words, these 3 items add up to a total of 12 crystal cores. Long Yu narrowed his eyes. That's right. The scarred butler glanced at the other items that Long Yu had taken out, including the bodies of the 2 snake followers of the Ghost Valley, some herbs, and so on. All of them added up to only 3 to 5,000 crystal coins. Are you selling? The scarred butler curled his lips. I won't force you to sell to our border city trading house, but no matter where you sell these items, no one will offer the same price as me. The reason why he offered such a price was because Wen Luan was beside him, so he gave Wen Luan face. The other reason was because he was confident that he could sell these items at a higher price and realize profits. But if it was any other trading house or auction house, no one would offer such a price to Long Yu. Long Yu thought for a moment and was about to make a decision when an old man's voice suddenly came from the stairway of the 5th floor. I'm here to sell these pills. There was a trace of anxiety hidden in the old man's voice, but it was not obvious. It only made people feel that he was quite dignified. Long Yu, Wen Luan, and the scarred butler all looked towards the staircase, only to see an old man at the 9th level of the true spirit realm walking towards them with a basket full of medicinal pills and porcelain bottles. Senior, please. The scarred butler suddenly became enthusiastic. He could tell at a glance that not only had the old man reached the 9th level of the true spirit realm, he was also an alchemist. An alchemist at the 9th level of the true spirit realm was considered a very powerful existence in the entire Northern Sea Kingdom. One had to know that the pills that an alchemist could refine were related to their martial arts realm. An alchemist at the 9th level of the true spirit realm was completely capable of refining top-notch, profound-level pills. This kind of pill would be very beneficial to the experts of the heavenly being realm. How could the scarred butler not be enthusiastic when this old man came to sell pills? As for whether or not Long Yu's things were for sale, the scarred butler did not really care. You're the butler of this floor? The old man looked at the fierce-looking butler with a scar on his face and frowned. That's right, it's me. The scarred butler bowed and said, I'll give these pills to your exchange hall. The old man snorted coldly and threw the basket containing a large number of medicinal pills and porcelain bottles towards the scarred steward. Give? What was going on? Not only Long Yu and Wen Luan, even the scarred butler was shocked by this scene. The scarred butler quickly caught the basket and felt his hands trembling. Senior, this, you don't have to think too much about it. These things, I'll give them to your exchange hall. They're worth at least 10 to 20 crystal cores. The old alchemist said indifferently, I only have one condition, and I need your exchange hall to fulfill it. Your exchange hall is backed by the city lord of the Northern Sea Border City. I believe you have the ability to help me with this matter. Senior, can you tell us what you want us to do first? The scarred butler shuddered when he heard this. An alchemist in LV9 True Spirit Secret Realm was as noble as an expert in the Heaven Realm. He did not dare to agree to anything casually, lest he offended a great enemy for the Border City Exchange Hall. Find my granddaughter, the old alchemist said as he threw a True Spirit inscription seal to the scarred butler. Her appearance is in this True Spirit inscription seal. It was not strange for him to record his granddaughter's appearance in the True Spirit secret realm. But the problem was, how did the granddaughter of the old alchemist get lost? Long Yu was a little confused, but it was none of his business, so he would not say anything. That's easy. Even if your granddaughter appears in the surrounding cities, the people of our border city exchange hall will find her for you. The scarred butler immediately beamed with joy. It was just to find someone, and he thought it would be a big deal. He might not dare to agree to other things, but he had full confidence in finding someone. The Border City Exchange Hall belonged to the North Sea Border City's Castellan Mansion. The Castellan Mansion of the North Sea Border City's influence would naturally spread to the surrounding cities. Where else could he find such a good thing? And he could get 10 to 20 crystal cores just by finding a little girl. After the transaction was completed, the old alchemist turned around and left, not even looking at Long Yu and Wen Lun. Other than the scarred butler who could help him, he did not pay attention to anyone else. After all, the old alchemist level was too high. The scarred butler returned with a basket of porcelain elixirs and a smile on his face. "So, little brother, are you selling or not?" He looked at Long Yu and said, "You'd better make up your mind quickly. After all, as you can see, I have more important things to arrange. I'll sell, but I want to see if there are any elixirs I need. If there are, I want to buy them first. How about it?" Long Yu quickly made a decision. Wasn't he here to buy some elixirs that were useful to him? The old alchemist's strength was not bad. The elixirs he refined would definitely not be bad. No problem. Chapter 257. When Long Yu left the Border City trading firm, he already had a large pile of elixirs on him. Among them, there were 4 different spirit-level top-grade elixirs and 1 spirit-level top-grade elixir, which Long Yu bought for a total of 10 crystal nucleus. He still had 2 crystal nucleus on him, which could be used in the future. "Thank you, Senior One." After coming out, Long Yu thanked Wen Lun, a middle-aged man in a black robe. "You're welcome. Why don't you come to our mansion?" Wen Lun smiled kindly. "No, the Border City Martial meet starts tomorrow. I still have to take these elixirs when I go back." Long Yu smiled apologetically. "Forget it. I'll introduce you to my son when I have the chance." "Haha. Thank you for your Starseed sword. Goodbye." Wen Lun cupped his fists and said, then turned and left. Long Yu looked at his back, then turned and left, walking towards the inn that he and Qi Xiaoxue had booked. 1 spirit-level top-grade elixir and 4 spirit-level top-grade elixirs were still not enough for Long Yu to advance to the 6th level of the true spirit realm. Even though he had the 9 Underworld Dragon Seal and could absorb all the elixirs, it was still not enough. However, there were only 5 kinds of spirit-level top-grade and spirit-level top-grade elixirs that could be taken out in the entire Border City trading firm. Although there were many of the same elixirs in the Border City trading firm, it was of no use to Long Yu. Only the first elixir was effective for martial cultivators. Taking the same elixir twice would reduce the effect by more than half. Qi Xiaoxue did not rest in the inn that day, but went out to inquire about some news. When Long Yu returned, Qi Xiaoxue was not there, so he ignored her and went straight to his room to take the elixirs he bought. Spirit-level top-grade and spirit-level top-grade elixirs were quite rare for ordinary martial cultivators. For example, the Long Yu golden elixir that Long Yu had previously obtained was a spirit-level top-grade elixir, which was the highest honor of the Tang Empire's martial army. For the disciples of the great clans and sects, pills were not rare items. For example, the Long clan of the generals, the Chu clan of the imperial clan, and so on. For the descendants of these clans, what they needed to advance was to break through the bottleneck. As for the accumulation of spiritual energy, they had enough pills to provide them. Naturally, the speed at which they improved their martial Dao realm was much faster than that of ordinary people. Long Yu spent most of the night consuming all 5 elixirs and absorbing all the spiritual qi within them. He felt that he was not far from reaching LV6 of the true spirit realm. His heavenly veins had already been refined to the next level, and the heaven-suppressing sun true spirit in his dantian had also been refined into a solid form. Only the 9 abyss true spirit still needed some heaven and earth spiritual qi to refine. If he didn't have any other pills or external assistance, Long Yu would probably need 2 years to advance by relying on his own absorption speed of heaven and earth spiritual qi. But if he could get his hands on another spiritual level supreme grade elixir, he would be able to step into LV6 true spirit realm. He could feel that there was no huge bottleneck between him and the sixth layer of the true spirit secret realm. As long as he had enough spiritual chi, it shouldn't be hard for him to break through. The key was the unity of the true spirit. In order to reach the unity of the true spirit, one must have an extremely strong understanding of the true spirit and the laws of heaven and earth. It wasn't something that could be achieved in a short period of time. It seems that I still have to wait for a while. Long Yu stood up and heaved a sigh of relief. If he could get to know an alchemist and teach him how to refine pills, that would be great. He could go out to collect medicinal ingredients and refine pills himself to improve his martial Dao realm. Previously, he had a chance in the Soaring Sky tribe, but unfortunately, it was destroyed by the young man from the Soaring Sky tribe. Of course, Long Yu didn't feel that it was a pity. Demonic beasts were demonic beasts after all. Although they called themselves demonic cultivators, they were not the same race as humans. The next morning, Long Yu and Qi Xiaoxue went to the North Sea border city's martial arena together. The border city martial meet, this time, was held in the martial arena. This was the place where the North Sea border city's city lord's mansion usually trained the martial army. Because it was a border city, the North Sea border city's city lord's mansion was in charge of many martial armies. They were usually trained, and in the event of an emergency, they could act as a defensive force. The number of martial armies in the entire North Sea border city was not small, reaching up to 50,000 soldiers. Although most of the 50,000 soldiers were martial cultivators who could not condense the true spirit, when they gathered together, they were an extremely terrifying force. At least for now, Long Yu didn't dare to confront the 50,000 soldiers head-on. The North Sea border city's martial arena was guarded by many martial armies, and it was already full of people. Although there were less than 1,000 participants in this border city martial meet, it had attracted almost all the martial cultivators in the city to watch. The reason was simple. The scale of this martial meet was quite large, and the participants were all martial artists above the 5th level of the true spirit realm. Moreover, the final winner of the martial meet would be fully trained by the 10,000 Arrow clan, so that they would have the opportunity to participate in the Heavenly Mandate Sacred Selection 2 years later. The Heavenly Mandate Sacred Selection was the highest honor for ordinary martial cultivators in the entire Heavenly Mandate continent. Brother Long, your opponent in the first round is Ling Feiliang. Qi Xiaoxue quickly received the first-hand news, and her expression didn't look too good. His first match was against an expert at the 7th tier of the true spirit realm. His luck was really bad. In this martial meet, those at the 7th tier of the true spirit realm could be said to be the strongest group of people. As long as they reached the 7th tier of the true spirit realm, even if they didn't perform well in the martial meet, it was very likely that they would be recruited by the 10,000 Arrow clan. Because the threshold to participate in the Heavenly Mandate Sacred Selection was to reach this 7th tier of the true spirit realm before the age of 30. They came to the North Sea border city to select young geniuses who could reach this level within 2 years. As for those who had reached the true spirit realm, they certainly wouldn't let them go. It's okay. Long Yu narrowed his eyes. He didn't expect things to be so coincidental. When they first entered the North Sea border city, he and Qi Xiaoxue were ridiculed by Ling Feiliang, who was wearing a clown mask. He didn't expect to meet him so soon. The entire martial meet used an elimination system. Nearly 1,000 people would fight each other in pairs. The winners would advance, and the losers would be eliminated until the final 32 were decided. If an expert at the 7th tier of the true spirit realm was eliminated, then he would have a chance to challenge any one of the 32 people. If he won, then he would replace the 32 people. In the end, the 32 people would be recruited by the 10,000 Arrow clan and trained for 2 years. This was an excellent opportunity for many martial cultivators in the Jianghu. Because of this, it attracted so many people to participate and watch. Before the start of the competition, Long Yu looked around, but he didn't see Mo, Fengming, and Lu Yuan. There are too many people. We'll see them when they go on stage. Qi Xiaoxue smiled and said, Just like how we used fake names, they must have used fake names to participate in the martial meet, so I didn't see their names on the list. Yes. Long Yu nodded and didn't think too much about it. He raised his head and saw two martial cultivators in blue sitting on the platform of the martial arena. They carried a quiver on their back and sat high up in the center. Those two are the disciples of the 10,000 Arrow clan. They are considered great people in the North Sea border city. Qi Xiaoxue introduced. The disciples of the 10,000 Arrow clan in the North Sea border city were like the disciples of the Great Tang Empire in the Jade Pass city. They would naturally receive the best treatment. The one next to the two disciples of the 10,000 Arrow clan is the son of the North Sea border city city lord, young city Lord Xing Liang. Then, Qi Xiaoxue pointed to a young man on the platform with an oily face. He was wearing a battle weapon on his back, a battle weapon on his waist, a battle weapon on his feet, and a battle weapon on his head. This young city lord Xing Liang was wearing at least a high-ranked spirit-level battle weapon. He was like a wandering merchant selling battle weapons, but this kid was proud of it. Needless to say, the son of the city lord was indeed rich. Soon, the martial gathering officially began under the announcement of the two disciples of the 10,000 Arrow clan. Although these two people were only in the martial Dao realm of the LV8 True Spirit realm, no one in the North Sea border city dared to offend them, not even the city lord. I'll go first. Long Yu listened to the announcement of the first round of matches, stood up, and walked towards the arena. Jun Bian versus Ling Feiliang. LV5 True Spirit Realm versus LV7 True Spirit Realm. The North Sea border city's martial arts arena could accommodate 10 battles at the same time. Every 10 matches was called a round, and in the first 10 matches of the first round, the battle between Long Yu and Ling Feiliang was the one that attracted the most attention. This was because Ling Feiliang was the first expert of the LV7 True Spirit Realm to fight. Everyone's eyes were focused on Ling Feiliang, who was wearing a clown mask. They wanted to see how this expert of the LV7 True Spirit Realm would defeat a kid of the LV5 True Spirit Realm. This was a battle with a great disparity in strength. No one cared about winning or losing. What they wanted to see was Ling Feiliang's wonderful performance. Kid, you're so unlucky to meet me in the first round. Ling Feiliang's thin figure walked onto the arena and stood opposite to Long Yu. There was a disdainful chuckle under the clown mask. If you surrender now, kneel down and call me Grandpa. I can spare your life. Hearing these arrogant words, all the surrounding spectators roared with laughter. No one thought that Ling Feiliang was boasting, and no one thought that there was anything wrong with his words. After all, he was an expert of the LV7 True Spirit Realm. An expert had the absolute right to speak. If you surrender now, kneel down and call me Grandpa. I can spare your life. Long Yu calmly returned the same words to Ling Feiliang. As soon as these words were spoken, the crowd fell silent for a moment. Then, there was an even louder burst of laughter. Was there something wrong with this kid's brain? A kid of the LV5 True Spirit Realm dared to imitate Ling Feiliang, who was at the LV7 True Spirit Realm. Chapter 258. Hearing Long Yu's words, Ling Feiliang's voice suddenly darkened. Boy, you'll pay for what you said with your life. The conflict between the two sides was intense, and the surrounding spectators were all excited. For them, it seemed good to have some dramatic conflict in such a battle of great disparity in strength. At least, it would not be so boring. The match has already begun. Why don't you make a move? Long Yu smiled faintly, his eyes full of contempt. This time, Ling Feiliang did not say anything. He wanted to use his strength to let the boy in front of him know what strength was and what it meant to have the capital to be arrogant. The clown mask on Ling Feiliang's face quickly turned bright red, which made people shudder with fear. Those who knew Ling Feiliang knew that this meant that he had the intention to kill. He wanted to kill the boy named Jun Bian. In the spectator stand, Qi Xiaoxue, who was wearing a brown fur coat, frowned slightly. She could not figure out why Long Yu wanted to provoke Ling Feiliang. Could it be that Long Yu was confident that he could defeat Ling Feilyang? Qi Xiaoxue felt that it was unlikely. Although Lin He, the Axe King of Mixed Sound City, had died in the hands of Long Yu had also said that it was not due to his own efforts, but due to the help of others. Now that he was facing Ling Feilyang, who was at the 7th level of the true spirit realm, could Long Yu really win? Qi Xiaoxue's mood became nervous. On the rostrum, the 2 disciples of the 10,000 Arrows sect in Young City, Lord Xingliang, also looked at Long Yu and Ling Feilyang with great interest. That boy is really overestimating himself. He provoked an expert at the unity of true spirit realm. He's courting death. One of the disciples of the 10,000 Arrows sect had a sharp mouth and monkey cheeks. His expression was naturally arrogant. In this North Sea border city, as a disciple of the 10,000 Arrows sect, he should be worshipped by countless people. Let's guess, how many moves will he die from? The other disciple of the 10,000 Arrows sect looked like a decent person, but when he spoke, his voice was sharp and carried a hint of ridicule. There's a gap of 2 levels. 1 move is enough. The 10,000 Arrows sect disciple with a protruding mouth and monkey-like cheeks laughed. However, I want to see how Ling Feilyang is going to play with that kid. If it were me, I would slowly let him experience the taste of despair. Seeing that the 2 disciples of the 10,000 Arrows sect were in high spirits, young City Lord Xingliang's eyes lit up and suggested, "In that case, we can't give that boy a chance to admit defeat and beg. Later on, I will tell my people not to interfere no matter what. How about that?" Young man, the monkey-like disciple of the 10,000 Arrows sect, nodded with satisfaction, quite appreciative of this young City Lord Xingliang. Ling Feilyang said. Ling Feilyang's clown mask turned bright red. Then he raised his hand and a red line flew out from his hand, entangling Long Yu. The Long turned as Ling he Ling Long Ling Ling's Long or Ling turned. Look, Ling. Even Long Yu paid more attention to this red line. Although it was not the first time he had faced an opponent at the 7th rank of the True Spirit Secret Realm, he would not let his guard down every time because his opponent's basic strength was 4 times his. Yellow Springs Barrier. Long Yu raised his hand and used the Netherworld Chi to condense a layer of the Nether Barrier. The grayish-black barrier immediately blocked the red line. No matter how that red line twisted and flew in the air, no matter which direction it wanted to attack Long Yu, it was blocked by the Yellow Springs Barrier, unable to succeed. After repeating this a few times, the red line was actually blocked by the Yellow Springs Barrier. What? Ling Feilyang's clown mask turned slightly green. He did not expect this LV5 True Spirit Realm brat to be able to withstand the powerful attack of a LV7 True Spirit Realm martial artist. Not only Ling Feilyang, but all the surrounding martial cultivators were also intrigued by this scene. This 5th-rank True Spirit Secret Realm kid seems to have some strength. This kid seems to have some tricks up his sleeves. On the rostrum, young City Lord Xingliang was a little surprised, but he did not pay much attention to it. No matter what, Ling Feilyang was definitely going to die against a LV7 True Spirit Realm martial artist. Even if he has some tricks up his sleeves, he is still no match for Ling Feilyang. The integration of True Spirit is much stronger than the LV5 True Spirit Realm. The 2000 Arrows sect disciples remained calm and did not pay much attention to it. In the 1000 Arrows sect, there were also people who mainly cultivated defensive martial skills, which could withstand the attacks of experts who were 2 ranks higher than them. However, such martial cultivators had weak offensive abilities, especially when they saw that Long Yu was less than 20 years old and certainly did not have the time to cultivate defensive martial skills, let alone a strong offensive martial skill. I'd like to see how you're going to resist. Ling Feilyang touched the clown mask on his face and snorted. He suddenly waved his hand and condensed 3 colorful balls with his chi. He then threw the 3 colorful balls at Long Yu. What is this? Long Yu's heart skipped a beat. He thought to himself that this guy had a lot of tricks up his sleeves. He was not careless at all. When the 3 colorful balls flew toward him, He immediately activated the chi in his body and displayed the supreme dark-level movement skill, Dragon Sparrow Dance. Such a passive defense was not Long Yu's style. As soon as he unleashed the dance of the Dragon Sparrow, a pair of black wings unfurled from his back. He transformed into a streak of black light and instantly bypassed the 3 colorful balls. 9 Nether Dragon Fist. Without any hesitation, Long Yu immediately punched out and the 9 Nether Chi spread out in all directions. Mask True Spirit. At this moment, Ling Feiliong seemed to feel the terrifying power contained in Long Yu's punch. He had to be extremely careful. A clown mask True Spirit emerged from behind him. Suddenly, the power of law he released became even stronger. What skills do you have? Just use them. When a masked True Spirit appeared, Ling Feiliong regained his confidence. He sneered and ordered the masked True Spirit to fly in front of him to block Long Yu's punch. However, right at this moment, he suddenly felt a binding force coming from behind him, and his entire body was firmly restrained. The invisible Netherworld spirit did not attract anyone's attention and bound Ling Feiliong on the spot. 9 Nether Explosion. Long Yu punched the ground. Then, a stream of 9 Nether Chi gathered under Ling Feiliong's feet and gushed out. This was still Long Yu's most powerful martial skill. With just one punch, he defeated Ling Feiliong, who was wearing a clown mask. With a bang, Ling Feiliong's body, which had been completely eroded by the 9 Nether Chi, flew backward and fell heavily to the ground. The clown mask on his face had been eroded by the 9 Nether Chi and turned black and cracked into several pieces. How is this possible? This scene made all the martial cultivators who were watching the battle widen their eyes in disbelief. A lad at LV5 True Spirit Realm had blown away an expert at LV7 True Spirit Realm, and he had not even released his true spirit. On the contrary, the expert at LV7 True Spirit Realm, who had released his true spirit, was not able to block the lad's punch at all. Facing an expert who was 2 levels stronger than him, he had blown up his opponent with just one punch. Such a thing sounded like a ridiculous joke to everyone. If someone had told them this beforehand, they would never have believed it. But now, the truth was right in front of them. What's going on? Young City Lord Xing Liang immediately stood up and angrily ordered his subordinates to investigate this matter. On the other hand, the 10,000 Arrow sect disciple narrowed his eyes and said, "Young City Lord, don't be angry. This kid is only in the 5th layer of the True Spirit Secret Realm, but he was able to defeat a unity of True Spirit expert with one punch. He must have a lot of secrets on him. Let him continue fighting. If he could be of use to our 10,000 Arrow sect, it would be a good thing. Senior Brother Qi is right." Xing Liang immediately smiled. Everything else was fine as long as the 2 disciples from the 10,000 Arrows sect were not angry. Qi Tianpeng and Kai Xinji were both LV8 True Spirit Realm disciples from the 10,000 Arrows sect. They were ranked at the top among the core disciples and had high status. They had come to North Sea Border City to select young geniuses on behalf of the 10,000 Arrows sect, so the people of North Sea Border City naturally respected them. Qi Tianpeng was the disciple from the 10,000 Arrows sect. He squinted his eyes and said playfully, "Arrange a stronger opponent for him in the next round. Let's see how strong this lad is." "Yes, senior brothers. What do you think about Su Qiangyi from the Su family?" Xing Liang asked with a smile. "Su Qiangyi? What realm?" Qi Tianpeng asked with a faint smile. LV7 of the True Spirit Secret Realm. However, Su Qiangyi's strength can be said to be the top of the LV7 of the True Spirit Secret Realm. Just now, Ling Feiliong was not even a match for him. Xing Liang said, "Sure, let him fight with this Junebine kid." Qi Tianpeng nodded and made a decision easily. The other martial cultivators in the spectator stand were also shocked by the situation in the field. They had never thought that Long Yu would be able to defeat Ling Feiliong with a single punch, have a whole new level of respect for him. This word was very suitable to be used here. Unfortunately, there were still many people who felt that Long Yu was relying on a shortcut. Ling Feilyong was defending in front of him, but Long Yu's attack came from the ground. Of course, he could not defend, but they did not think that no matter what method he used, as long as he won this battle, he would be an expert. Long Yu calmly walked off the fighting ring. He did not feel that it was difficult to win the first round. Everything was within his expectations. Chapter 259. Long Yu was not interested in joining the 10,000 Arrows sect. He had only come to participate in this martial gathering to spar with other martial cultivators, and, at the same time, to look for Mo Fengming and Lu Yuan. Unfortunately, up until now, Long Yu still hadn't seen the two of them. Not long after, Qi Xiaoxue went up. On the first day of the Border City Martial Gathering, there were almost 1,000 people participating. In total, there were more than 400 battles. If there were 10 battles in a round, there would be more than 40 rounds. Long Yu appeared in the first round, and with his absolute strength, he ignited the atmosphere of the audience. Qi Xiaoxue went up in the 10th round, but unfortunately, she was defeated by a rank 6 true Spirit Realm opponent in the first round. Apart from Long Yu, there were not many martial cultivators who could defeat opponents who were above the martial realm. Even Qi Xiaoxue could not do it. The difference in basic strength could only be made up by using combat weapons, martial skills, or the law domain. Unfortunately, in these aspects, most martial cultivators were on the same level. In fact, the higher the martial realm, the easier it was for martial cultivators to have higher quality combat weapons and stronger martial skills. For the whole day, apart from Long Yu, there was not a single person who could defeat an opponent who was above the martial realm. This showed how difficult it was to defeat an opponent who was above the martial realm. Haha, Brother Long, you're really amazing. Even Ling Feilyong was defeated by you. On the way back to the inn, Qi Xiaoxue patted Long Yu's shoulder and said with a smile. Due to Long Yu's performance in the first match being too eye-catching, the two of them were now being watched by quite a few people on their way back. Moreover, Long Yu had a feeling that he was being followed by someone. However, the tracking method was very clever. He could not find out where the other party was and could only give up. At the same time, a trace of vigilance emerged in his heart. He was too careless. Faced with Qi Xiaoxue's praise, Long Yu said humbly, then frowned slightly. I wonder why Mo Fengming and Lu Yuan are missing. For the whole day, Mo Fengming and Lu Yuan were nowhere to be seen, which made Long Yu have a bad feeling. Did something happen to the two of them? Logically speaking, since the two of them came to the Northern Sea border city and said that their goal was this martial gathering, it was impossible that they did not appear. Brother Mo told me that, but I really don't know why I didn't see him today. Qi Xiaoxue was also puzzled, but she did not take it to heart. Brother Long, Mo Fengming is not weak. He should not encounter any accidents. You should focus on the following battles. If you're selected by the 1,000 Arrows sect, you'll be able to receive a lot of cultivation resources. Long Yu shook his head. He wasn't interested in the 10,000 Arrows sect, but he felt that it was strange that Mo Fengming and Lu Yuan hadn't appeared. Forget it. It's useless to think about this. I've been separated from them for more than a month. Even if I want to find them now, I can't start. I can only see if there are any clues in this Northern Sea border city. Time, Yulong Sec 1,000 Yuan Sec to the Ling stage. He and Qi Xiaoxue had agreed to go to the martial arts arena together tomorrow morning. Qi Xiaoxue wanted to watch Long Yu's match until the end. Long Yu was not interested in the 1,000 Arrows sect, but Qi Xiaoxue was quite enthusiastic. This bold man was originally born in the Tang Empire, but unfortunately, he did not reach the 4th stage of the martial Dao before the age of 18, so he could not join one of the 7 major sections. However, his talent in martial arts was only revealed after the age of 20, so he had a dream to join a major sect. Now that the 1,000 Arrows sect had come to recruit disciples and would be specially trained, it was an opportunity. Unfortunately, Qi Xiaoxue's martial arts realm was still 1 or 2 stages behind. After Long Yu and Qi Xiaoxue parted ways, he returned to his room alone. Just as he pushed the door open, a figure appeared in the room, startling Long Yu. Mo Fengming, what are you doing here? Long Yu glanced over and saw Mo Fengming, who was dressed in green and had a black mask on, waiting for him in his room. The reason why Long Yu could recognize him was because of the long sword on his waist that contained the Law of Yin. This was Mo Fengming's signature weapon. Something happened, Mo Fengming said in a low voice. Long Yu's heart skipped a beat. Indeed, under the night sky of the North Sea border city, countless martial cultivators were still discussing the battles during the day with great interest. Among them, the most dazzling was a martial cultivator in the first round. Although he was only at LV5 True Spirit Realm, he was able to defeat a LV7 True Spirit Realm expert wearing a clown mask, Ling Feiyang. This martial cultivator was called Jun Bian. Countless martial cultivators in the North Sea border city remembered this name. However, they did not know that the Jun Bian they were talking about was running toward the North Sea border city's governor's mansion under the cover of the night. Lu Yuan has been captured. Mo Fengming brought this piece of news. Immediately after, he and Long Yu set off on their journey to the city lord's mansion. The people who had captured Lu Yuan were from the governor's mansion. As for why she was captured, even Mo Fengming did not know. He and Lu Yuan had signed up for the martial arts meet a few days ago, but 3 days before the start of the meet, the people from the governor's mansion suddenly appeared and attacked them. Mo Fengming used his movement technique to follow them like a shadow and escaped. However, Lu Yuan was captured by the people from the governor's mansion. These days, Mo Fengming had been looking for traces of Lu Yuan in the city, but he could not find her no matter what. It was as if she had disappeared into thin air. Because Long Yu had appeared at the border city martial arts meet today, Mo Fengming followed him and found Long Yu. Although there was no special relationship between Long Yu and Lu Yuan, they were still friends after all. Encountering such an unclear matter, he could not just stand by and watch. No matter what, he had to see her, dead or alive. If Lu Yuan had really met with misfortune, Long Yu would definitely make the North Sea border city's governor's mansion a mess. Long Yu put on a black suit and followed behind Mo Fengming, heading towards the governor's mansion. Mo Fengming used the Xiang clan's Mo family's movement technique to follow them like a shadow. His entire body was like a black shadow, almost undetectable in the night. And after Long Yu put on the black suit, he was also adept at using buildings, street corners, and other obstacles to hide himself. When the two arrived outside the magnificent governor's mansion, they were not discovered by anyone. The border city martial arts meet just started today. The two disciples of the 10,000 Arrows sect are also staying in the governor's mansion. Mo Fengming lowered his voice and said to Long Yu. Long Yu nodded, indicating that he understood. Then, the two quietly climbed over the wall and entered. Although Mo Fengming was certain that Lu Yuan had been captured by the governor's mansion, he did not know if they had taken her somewhere else in the past 3 days. Now that the two of them had invaded the governor's mansion, their primary goal was to find someone. At the very least, they had to know where they had taken Lu Yuan. The two of them climbed over the wall and entered the governor's mansion. Because they had both cultivated decent movement techniques, they were not discovered by anyone. Then, the two of them sensed a large group of people approaching, so they hid in a garden and a rock garden, preparing to scout out the situation. Senior Brother Chi, Senior Brother Kai, you have to enjoy yourselves tonight. A slightly flattering voice reached their ears. Long Yu could tell that this flattering voice belonged to the young city lord of the governor's mansion, Xing Liang. That depends on whether the woman you've prepared is to our liking. The shrill voice of the 10,000 Arrows sect disciple, Kai Shinji, chuckled, seemingly looking forward to what was about to happen. Just hearing these 2 sentences, Long Yu's heart skipped a beat. He could roughly guess what was going on. If he guessed correctly, Lu Yuan had been captured by the young city lord, Xing Liang. His purpose was to entertain the 2 disciples from the 10,000 Arrows sect. Senior brothers, please rest assured. The 2 girls I've prepared will definitely be praised by you, Xing Liang said confidently. Then I'll wait and see. Where are they now? The sharp-mouthed, monkey-like Qi Tianping looked somewhat impatient. Although with their status and strength, they had no shortage of women if they wanted to, they still liked the feeling of novelty. In any case, the two of them were very satisfied that the young city lord Xing Liang had prepared women for them. They're in the room in front. Senior brothers, you'll see them once you enter the room. Xing Liang chuckled. Senior brothers, I won't be going over now. You can enjoy yourselves. After saying this, Xing Liang's footsteps stopped. Even the followers behind him stopped. Only the 10,000 arrows sect disciples, Qi Tianpeng and Kai Xinji, continued to walk forward. Long Yu looked out through the cracks in a rockery and saw two 10,000 arrows sect disciples in blue walking toward two brightly lit rooms in front. Lu Yuan is in that room. Long Yu thought to himself. At the same time, he couldn't help but wonder who the young city lord Xing Liang had prepared two girls for. Apart from Lu Yuan, who was the other one? Suddenly, a scene flashed in Long Yu's mind. It was the words of an old alchemist who came to the trading house in Border City. Help find his granddaughter. At the time, Long Yu was a little puzzled. How could such a precious alchemist lose his granddaughter? Now, it seemed that it was very likely the young city lord Xing Liang's doing. Brother Mo, let's split up. You lead the others away, and I'll wait for an opportunity. Long Yu whispered. Mo Fengming was slightly taken aback. Brother Long, don't trick me. How can I lead them away from here? With your movement skill, it shouldn't be a problem, right? Long Yu whispered. If Lu Yuan is really in the room, it'll be too late if we don't act now. As long as you lead the two 10,000 arrows sect disciples away, I'm confident that I can save her. Are you sure? Although Mo Fengming knew that Long Yu was very strong, he was still a little unsure. After all, the two of them did not know each other very well. I'm sure. I can fly. I can definitely save her. Long Yu whispered with certainty. Upon hearing this, Mo Fengming finally recalled that this fellow with the surname Long could fly. Back in Butterfly Valley, didn't Long Yu fly and finally defeat the two Ghost Valley envoys in the 7th level of the True Spirit Realm? Thinking of this, Mo Fengming decided to believe in Long Yu. Chapter 260. Mo Fengming's figure streaked across the courtyard like a shadow and flashed past Xing Liang's eyes. Who? Xing Liang was about to turn around and leave with his men when he couldn't help but get angry. This was the North Sea Border City's city lord's mansion. How could anyone just come in? Of course, he couldn't tolerate such a thing. Catch him. Xing Liang gave the order, and the followers of the 4th and 5th level of the True Spirit Realm immediately got busy. They only saw a figure flash by, but how could they know where the figure went? These lackeys were about to start searching the entire courtyard. But at this moment, from the two rooms in front of them, two angry roars came one after another. Who are you? What are you doing in here? Who dares to disturb my pleasure? Qi Tianpeng and Kai Xinji, two disciples of the 10,000 Arrows sect, shouted angrily. Then, the roof of the room in front of them exploded and a figure jumped out. Mo Fengming was very fast and attracted the attention of Xing Liang, Qi Tianpeng, Kai Xinji, and everyone else in the room. Moreover, when he entered the room, he immediately saw two young girls lying unconscious on the bed. One of them was Lu Yuan, who had been taken away earlier. Although it was only a blink of an eye, Mo Fengming couldn't be wrong because Lu Yuan's temperament was too different. Her long white hair made her look extremely cold. As Mo Fengming jumped out of the roof, Qi Tianpeng and Kai Xinji, two disciples of the 8th level of the True Spirit Realm, chased after him through the hole in the roof. Divine Arrow Kill. Qi Tianpeng chased after Mo Fengming for a while. Seeing that Mo Fengming was extremely fast, a longbow appeared behind him, and then a divine arrow pierced through the night sky, chasing after Mo Fengming at an extremely fast speed. Although Mo Fengming's speed was fast, he might not be able to dodge the attack from the 8th level of the True Spirit Secret Realm, let alone block it head-on. In the blink of an eye, the divine arrow and Mo Fengming disappeared into the night sky. Xing Liang, what's going on? Kai Xinji looked like a decent person, but at this time, his face was gloomy. He asked, Does your city lord mansion allow people to come and go as they please? Of course, Kai Shinji and Chi Tianpeng were displeased to see that their good show was interrupted. More importantly, he hadn't caught the culprit yet. Didn't this mean that it was very likely that there were people peeking outside when they were halfway through their work? It was simply unbearable for the two of them. I'll send someone to arrest that thief right now. Xing Liang shuddered, seeing that the two Myriad Arrow sect disciples were dissatisfied with him. He quickly reacted and ordered his subordinates to send people to search the city. I hope we can catch him. Chi Tianpeng and Kai Shinji snorted coldly. They were extremely disappointed with Xing Liang. Xing Liang kept apologizing on the surface, but in fact, he was cursing in his heart. Aren't you two fools too? A disciple of the 10,000 Arrows sect at the 8th LV of the True Spirit Secret Realm couldn't even catch a kid at the 6th LV of the True Spirit Secret Realm. How embarrassing. Although it was only a glimpse, Xing Liang still recognized Mo Fengming as the accomplice of one of the girls in the room. He had escaped last time. If he let him escape again this time, Xing Liang, the young city lord, would really lose all his face. In an instant, everyone in the city lord mansion moved to catch the guy who had disturbed the 10,000 Arrows sect disciples. It was also at this time that Long Yu finally moved. Taking advantage of the chaos, he entered one of the rooms in a flash. When he looked at the bed, he found that it was not Lu Yuan, but another beautiful girl with a delicate face. This beautiful girl looked to be only 15 or 16 years old. Her skin was snow white, and her eyebrows were like the moon. Unfortunately, she was unconscious on the bed. Her posture was like a weak willow in the wind, making people feel pity for her. Who would have thought that Xing Liang would even kidnap a girl of 15 or 16 years old? It was really outrageous. Bring her along. Long Yu's heart skipped a beat. Without hesitation, he went forward and carried the girl's soft body from the bed. Then, in a flash, he went to the next room. This time, he really saw Lu Yuan. Her snow-white hair was hanging by the side of the bed, and she was also unconscious. Let's go. Long Yu immediately went forward and carried Lu Yuan with one hand. With the two girls in his arms, he immediately displayed the transcendent grade, profound level martial arts technique, the dance of the dragon sparrow. A pair of broad, black wings spread out behind him, carrying him out of the big hole in the roof. Chi Tianpeng and Kai Shinji, who were originally on the roof, were slightly aware of the movement in the room. Just as they were about to go down to take a look, Long Yu spread his wings and soared into the sky with the two girls. Here comes another one. And this time, this guy even took away the delicacy that they were about to enjoy. This time, Chi Tianpeng and Kai Shinji were truly enraged. A longbow materialized behind each of their backs, and they continuously shot divine arrows at Long Yu. They didn't care at all. Doing so might kill the two girls. To them, there was no shortage of women, but it was extremely rare for someone to trample on their dignity like this. To the two of them, the most important thing now was to capture them. Everything else could be discussed later. As expected, you only know how to shoot a few arrows to chase after me. With one girl in each hand, Long Yu's lips curled up slightly. He immediately activated the lunar wings, and his flying speed more than doubled. With this, he had left those so-called god-slaying arrows far behind. It's the guy who appeared at the martial meet. He's only at the 5th level of the True Spirit Realm. Chi Tianpeng immediately recognized Long Yu's identity. He saw that the few god arrows he shot were easily dodged by Long Yu, and his face darkened. Brat, don't tell me he doesn't intend to participate in the martial meet anymore. Kai Shinji's eyes flashed with an ominous glint. Since he did this, definitely doesn't want to come back. Damn it, he doesn't even put our 1,000 arrow sect in his eyes, and this kid can actually fly. Chi Tianpeng gritted his teeth, but he couldn't do anything to Long Yu, who was flying away. This person is called Junbian. He must have an accomplice. Quickly get Xing Liang to inform the others to capture his accomplice. Kai Shinji's eyes lit up, and he quickly informed the others. Long Yu carried the two girls, soaring in the night sky, feeling the two girls' warm and fragrant bodies in his arms. but he was not in the mood to enjoy it. Mo Fengming is still in the city. I have to bring him out? Long Yu thought to himself as he carried the two girls, and quickly flew out of the northern sea border city, and flew over a lake, and landed in a hidden bush beside the lake. "Brother Long, you're here." A figure in a brown fur coat appeared from the bush. It was Qi Xiaoxue. Long Yu and Mo Fengming would not forget about Qi Xiaoxue. Otherwise, once the matter was exposed, Qi Xiaoxue would definitely be taken as Long Yu's accomplice and arrested. "Take care of them. I'll go back and bring Mo Fengming out." Long Yu placed the two women's soft bodies in the bushes, and they were hidden by the trees. "Go. I'll wait for you to come back. You must be careful," Qi Xiaoxue said in a solemn tone. He clearly knew the strength of the Northern Sea Border City. Although the city lord of the Northern Sea Border City had not reached the Heavenly Secret Realm, he was still an expert at the peak of LV9 True Spirit Realm. In the entire Northern Sea Border City, there were many experts at LV9 True Spirit Realm, so Long Yu's trip was a little risky. Fortunately, he could fly. Otherwise, it would have been impossible to rescue Lu Yuan successfully. However, Long Yu rescued two at once, which surprised Qi Xiaoxue a little. She thought that the young city lord Xing Liang was too inhumane. He actually kidnapped a 15 or 16-year-old girl and wanted to offer her to the 10,000 Arrows sect's disciple. Long Yu flapped his wings and flew back to the Northern Sea Border City. This time, he was likely to encounter a battle, so the closer he got to the Northern Sea Border City, the more cautious he became. At this moment, the entire streets of the Northern Sea Border City were filled with the City Lord's mansion's martial army, searching everywhere for traces of Mo Fengming. Qi Tianpeng and Kai Xinji were also looking for Mo Fengming. If they could catch Mo Fengming, they were confident that they could find the boy who kidnapped the beauty. The 10,000 Arrows sect's disciple had personally taken action, so the young city lord Xing Liang naturally could not remain indifferent. He also took action personally. Where could he be? Long Yu quietly flew back to the Northern Sea Border City, not attracting anyone's attention. He could feel the chaos in the city, and he could not help but feel a headache because he did not know where Mo Fengming was. After rescuing Lu Yuan, he could arrange a meeting place with Qi Xiaoxue, but Mo Fengming was fleeing in the city, and the situation was changing rapidly, so it was impossible to arrange a meeting place in advance. He could only take one step at a time. He retracted the lunar wings, landed in a corner of the Northern Sea Border City, and walked along a small path. "Search this side." Soon, there was a flurry of footsteps, followed by a small group of martial soldiers entering the small path. Before they could see clearly what was in the small path, a wave of netherworld chi surrounded them all, and then immediately eroded their bodies. Netherworld Dragon Fist Kill. Long Yu stepped out and easily killed the group of martial soldiers who had yet to condense their true spirits. Although he had already rescued Lu Yuan, he did not know if she had suffered any grievances. This little interest must be repaid. Killing a few more martial soldiers in the city was Long Yu's revenge on the Northern Sea Border City Lord office. Most importantly, it could also cause chaos, so that the people of the Northern Sea Border City Lord office could not take care of things. If he caused chaos here, Mo Fengming would feel less pressure and have more opportunities to escape. However, the easiest way to cause chaos was obviously not to kill a few martial soldiers who had yet to condense their true spirits, but to rob the trading house in the Northern Sea Border City. That's right, to rob. Long Yu saw that there were no Immortal Realm experts in the Northern Sea Border City. Once he was done robbing, he could fly away directly. What could the Northern Sea Border City do to him? Moreover, everyone in the city thought that his name was Jun Bian. Chapter 261. Long Yu quietly moved forward in the Northern Sea Border City and soon arrived at the Border City's trading firm. "I'm here to rob you." Long Yu unleashed the Dragon Sparrow dance and spread his wings, flying straight to the 5th floor and breaking through the window. Late at night, the Border City's trading firm was already closed. At this moment, only the stewards of each floor were guarding the place. The steward with a scar on the 5th floor immediately ran out when he heard the commotion. He was furious when he saw Long Yu. He was shocked that this kid dared to make a hole in the border city's trading firm and steal things. He was angry because this kid's actions were too disrespectful to the North Sea border city's city lord's mansion. Too disrespectful to him, the steward of the 5th floor, right? Goodbye. When Long Yu saw the scarred butler, the corners of his mouth curled upwards. He picked up a long spear combat weapon placed on the 5th floor, turned around, and left. This long spear was a supreme spirit-ranked combat weapon and was extremely valuable. After Long Yu took it away, the scarred butler would naturally not let it go. He immediately executed his movement martial technique, wanting to capture Long Yu on the spot. Unfortunately, even though he had reached LV8 True Spirit Realm, his speed was still slower than Long Yu's. Dragon Sparrow Dance. The black wings on Long Yu's back spread out. His entire body looked like a black phoenix as he flew out from the big hole he came in from. Don't even think about escaping. The scarred butler saw him fly away, but he didn't give up. He jumped out of the hole like a cannonball and shot straight towards Long Yu. 10,000 kill. Holding the long spear in his hand, Long Yu laughed. Gathering boundless killing intent, he turned around and thrust his spear. He had an absolute advantage in the air with the help of the Dragon Sparrow Dance. Since the steward dared to chase after him, he did not mind teaching him a lesson. Humph! Crushing stone. The scarred butler raised his hand, and a bolder, true soul materialized behind him. Following this, a series of crushed stones shot towards Long Yuchuan with boundless momentum. The attack of a rank 8 True Spirit Realm expert was not something that Long Yu could withstand head-on. However, now that both of them were in the air, Long Yu's greatest advantage was that he was much more agile than the scarred butler. I'll flash. Long Yu laughed heartily and dodged the impact of the series of crushed stones. The dance of the Dragon Sparrow was a transcendent, profound rank movement technique, so its effects were naturally extraordinary. Even though he had only just begun to learn it, it was still able to display an extremely shocking effect. Right now, Long Yu was as nimble as an expert in the Sky People's secret realm. That scarred butler's attack couldn't touch him at all. Heaven-suppressing spear technique. Layer upon layer of spear shadows. Long Yu held the supreme rank spirit combat spear in his hand and performed this spear martial skill. The spear flew out of his hand, leaving numerous afterimages behind as it struck towards the butler. The scarred butler waved his hand and grabbed the spear amidst the spear shadows. However, the tremendous force contained in the spear caused the butler to lose his balance and fall heavily to the ground. I'll return it to you. I don't care about this thing, Long Yu chuckled. He was only here to cause trouble. Now that he had successfully attracted the attention of the surrounding people, it was enough. He had no intention of taking the spear for himself. It was only a supreme rank spirit combat weapon. If he wanted it, he could obtain it openly. Why did he have to resort to stealing? With a loud bang, the scarred butler fell heavily to the ground. Although he wasn't seriously injured, he had lost face. Moreover, it was impossible for him to jump so high again to fight with Long Yu. He's there, catch him. Suddenly, a series of footsteps as swift as the wind came from the street not far away. Long Yu looked down and saw the young master of the city mansion, Xing Liang. He was running towards him with a group of people. It seemed like the battle between him and the scarred butler had attracted them. Good timing. A cold light flashed across Long Yu's eyes. It was obvious that the young master was the culprit. No matter whether Lu Yuan had been bullied or not, he was unforgivable. Kill! The pitch-black wings on Long Yu's back stretched out, and with a heavy flap, he flew towards the location of the young city, Lord Xing Liang. Protect me, protect me. Seeing this, the young master Xing Liang immediately shouted. He had seen with his own eyes that Long Yu had punched Ling Feiliang, who was in the 7th level of the true spirit realm, to the point of being half dead. Therefore, even though Xing Liang was in the 7th level of the true spirit realm, he was still scared out of his wits when he saw Long Yu charging towards him. Immediately, a large group of followers behind Xing Liang gathered together. All sorts of defensive martial techniques were executed together, trying to block Long Yu's attack. Among them, an expert at LV9 True Spirit Secret Realm took out a flame banner combat weapon and condensed a cluster of flames that surged towards Long Yu. It's a flame banner. Seeing this, Long Yu frowned and immediately flapped his wings to avoid the cluster of flames. He did not expect that the supreme spiritual level flame banner that he had just bought from him at the Border City Trading Hall would be in the hands of someone who could use it in the blink of an eye. The Border City Trading Hall was originally opened by the City Lord's Mansion, so it was easy for the experts of the City Lord's Mansion to obtain the items. At this moment, one of the experts at LV9 True Spirit Secret Realm, who was protecting Xing Liang, had obtained the flame banner. Seeing that there were so many people protecting him, Long Yu knew that he could not do anything to Xing Liang. He flapped his wings and flew away. Just as he was about to move to another place, a barrage of arrows suddenly shot at him from below. It was the two disciples of the Thousand Arrow sect. Go! Long Yu knew that even if he could fly, he would definitely be shot into a sieve by the various martial skills of the experts if he continued to be arrogant in this situation. He quickly flew down and flew into the gap at the side of the building. A large group of Border City martial cultivators immediately rushed in this direction, but they could not find Long Yu's figure at all. That kid, where did he go? I don't know. I only saw him enter this alley, and then he disappeared. He can fly and his speed is much faster than us. It's too troublesome. What are you afraid of? I don't believe that a martial cultivator who has not reached the unity of heaven and man realm can really fly. He must be relying on some kind of weapon to be able to fly. Even so, we can't do anything to him. There will be a time when his profound chi is exhausted, and when that time comes, it will be his death. The group of people could not do anything to Long Yu, and seemed to be able to let him continue to cause trouble. However, Long Yu did not think that they would be so stupid. If he didn't guess wrongly, the young city lord would soon set up a trap to lure him into taking the bait and then capture him in one go. What kind of trap would make me willingly take the bait? Long Yu pondered for a moment and immediately thought of a person, Mo Fengming. If the young city lord Xing Liang caught Mo Fengming, then he would indeed willingly take the bait. Long Yu's guess soon became reality. Not long after, he flew around the city and saw a burst of fireworks not far away. Under that burst of fireworks, young city lord Xing Liang caught Mo Fengming, who was dressed in green, and he was showing off proudly. Jun Bian, we've caught your accomplice. If he doesn't show himself, we'll kill him. Xing Liang raised his head and laughed loudly, shouting proudly, "Every time I count, I'll stab him once. How many stabs do you think your friend can last?" As soon as he finished speaking, one of his lackeys handed him a bayonet. If this blade was used to stab someone, it would easily cause the other party to bleed nonstop. Even if it was a strong martial artist, he would die from the nonstop bleeding. Without more than 3 stabs, Mo Fengming would definitely die. At this moment, Mo Fengming's face was indifferent, as though the one who was facing a desperate situation wasn't him. He didn't know if Long Yu would appear, but he still had his own ultimate move to save his life. If Long Yu really didn't appear, he could only use that move. But in that case, the friendship between him and Long Yu would definitely be completely severed. I'm starting to count one. Xing Liang's eyes revealed a murderous glint. His face was bloodthirsty as he held the blade in his hand and raised it, preparing to stab Mo Fengming's chest. But just at this moment, he suddenly felt something wrong under his feet. An endless strange aura was condensing under his feet, as though it would erupt at any time. Xing Liang's heart thumped. This aura, why was it so similar to the power that Jun Bian displayed in the battle arena? He subconsciously wanted to shift his feet, but it was too late. A 9 underworld chi pillar erupted from under his feet, shooting straight into the sky. 9 underworld blast. Xing Liang's entire body was enveloped by this 9 underworld chi pillar, and he flew out heavily, falling onto the ground. Luckily, his martial arts realm was high enough, so he wasn't dead yet. But all the meridians in his body had been corroded by the 9 underworld chi, so he must have been seriously injured. Of course, this northern sea border city was Xing Liang's territory, so if Long Yu couldn't kill him on the spot, this kid most likely wouldn't die. It's a pity I don't have time to completely kill this kid. Long Yu's figure was like a black phoenix as he suddenly descended from the sky. Due to Xing Liang's sneak attack, the originally set ambush circle in the arena was instantly thrown into chaos. That 9th level true spirit realm expert had originally wanted to hide, and once Long Yu appeared, he would trap him with flames, but now he could only take care of Xing Liang. This gave Long Yu an opportunity to take advantage of. Go! Long Yu grabbed Mo Feng Ming, flapped his wings, and flew up high in an instant. Behind the two of them, countless arrows, martial techniques, profound chi followed, and various laws of heaven and earth intertwined, trying to keep the two of them. Lunar explosion. Long Yu felt that under the suppression of countless laws of heaven and earth, his body seemed to have fallen into a swamp, so he immediately let the lunar wings burst out, dispelling the pressure. Chapter 262. At the same time that Long Yufei left, a gray-robed old man returned to the border city's trading center late at night. At this moment, the butler with the scar was preparing to go back to recuperate. When he saw the old man, he rolled his eyes and had an idea. "I asked you to find my granddaughter. Is there any news?" The gray-robed old man strode forward and looked at the slightly injured scarred butler as he asked in an indifferent tone. Yes. The scarred butler immediately said flatteringly, "Our young city lord knows this the best." "Where's your young city lord?" the old man in gray asked. "Senior, I'm here. The young city lord of North Sea Border City, Xing Liang, was being carried by a group of people on a stretcher to the Border City trading house. He was injured by Long Yu's 9 nether explosive flow and needed to take some healing pills as soon as possible. Hence, his followers brought him to the Border City trading house as soon as possible. Young city lord Xing Liang was originally very depressed, but when he saw the gray-clothed alchemist old man, his eyes could not help but light up. It was really a glimmer of hope at the end of the tunnel. "You're the young city lord of North Sea Border City?" The old man in gray frowned and looked at Xing Liang. Why was this kid seriously injured and lying on a stretcher? Although North Sea Border City was not a big city, as the young city lord of North Sea Border City, who would dare to make a move on him? "It's me." Xing Liang sighed. "Senior, this is all for your sake. According to your instructions, I searched for a long time and finally found your granddaughter. She was kidnapped by a kid called Junbayan." "Junbayan?" The old man in gray frowned. "That's right, this kid should be less than 20 years old, and his martial Dao realm is at the 5th level of the true spirit realm. He even participated in our martial meet during the day." Xing Liang immediately explained. "I'm 5th level of the true spirit realm." The old man in gray snorted. "No matter how weak my granddaughter is, she is still at the 7th level of the true spirit realm. Just a kid at the 5th level of the true spirit realm wants to kidnap my granddaughter? Senior, you may not know this, but this kid called Junbayan is very powerful." Xing Liang quickly explained. During the day, he only used one punch to severely injure a martial cultivator at the 7th level of the true spirit secret realm. Not only that, he can also fly. I don't know what kind of martial skill he has cultivated or what kind of combat weapon he has. It's all because of this brat that we are in such a sorry state." "You can fly?" The gray-robed alchemist frowned. "Yeah, all the injuries on my body were caused by his sneak attack." "Ouch!" Xing Liang howled in grief. He wasn't faking it. The netherworld chi had corroded his entire body, causing him to be in pain. If it wasn't for the fact that he wanted to frame Long Yu for the matter of kidnapping the granddaughter of this alchemist master, he would have already laid down to heal his injuries. How could he still speak so much? This gray-robed alchemist old man was not an ordinary person. "Where is he and my granddaughter now?" the gray-robed alchemist asked coldly. "Out of the city, towards the south. I've sent people out of the city to chase after them, but I'm not sure if they'll be able to catch up. After all, that kid can fly." Xing Liang immediately said, but that kid can't have flown far. He must have brought your granddaughter and found a foothold outside the city before coming back to rescue his accomplice." Upon hearing this, the gray-robed alchemist did not say a word. "This pill can lessen your pain." He tossed a small medicine bottle to Xing Liang, turned around, and left. Unfortunately, the gray-robed alchemist did not know that he was blind. Xing Liang was the culprit who had kidnapped his granddaughter. Xing Liang watched as the old man turned to leave with the small bottle in his hand, and an evil smile appeared on his face. He could imagine the miserable state of Long Yu being hunted down by this alchemist old man. Although Xing Liang had abducted the granddaughter of the gray-robed pill master, she had immediately fainted the moment he had caught her. Even she herself had absolutely no idea who had abducted her. In other words, even if the gray-robed alchemist's granddaughter woke up, she would not be able to defend Long Yu. Xing Liang's actions could be said to have put Long Yu at death's door. Long Yu did not know that the North Sea border city's young master, Xing Liang, will be the first to complain and send a LV9 true spirit realm alchemist to deal with him. He grabbed Mo Fengming and quickly landed beside a lake outside the city, arriving at the place where he had met up with Qi Xiaoxue. "You came after all." Mo Fengming was not disappointed with Long Yu. He patted Long Yu's shoulder and laughed. "Of course." Long Yu nodded and smiled. He then pushed aside the grass and saw Qi Xiaoxue guarding the two unconscious girls. He walked into the grass with Mo Fengming. "Everyone, leave here quickly. The North Sea border city is not safe now. I'm afraid someone will search here soon." As Long Yu spoke, he stepped forward to help Lu Yuan up. "Brother Qi, can you tell why they're unconscious?" "I'm not very sure, but I can guess that the young master must have used some medicine." Qi Xiaoxue shook her head. He was not familiar with elixirs, so of course he could not see what was going on. Now that the situation was more urgent, it was impossible for them to stay here for long. Long Yu supported Lu Yuan and carried the other girl as well. Anyway, when he rescued them, he had already carried them. Long Yu did not think about the issue of men and women not touching each other. Compared to Qi Xiaoxue and Mo Fengming, Long Yu was the fastest. Therefore, it was not strange for him to carry the two unconscious girls. Soon, the three of them disappeared from the forest beside the lake. Not long after, a gray-robed old man walked over from the direction of the northern sea border city. His speed was much faster than Long Yu and the other two. This old man was the old alchemist, the grandfather of the girl in Long Yu's arms. "It should not be far from here. There is the aura of her pendant." The old man came to the grass and stopped for a while. He saw traces of someone lying there. He frowned slightly and continued to chase forward. Long Yu and the other two did not know that there would be such an expert chasing them. Even if the North Sea border city sent out some experts of the LV9 true spirit realm, they would not be as powerful as the old alchemist. Not to mention, as an alchemist, the old man definitely knew some experts of the heavenly realm. If they offended this old man, they would definitely not have a good life. Soon, Long Yu and the other two approached the border of the North Sea country and set foot on an endless prairie. If they kept moving forward, they would see Mixed Sound City in less than a day. "Where are we going now?" Qi Xiaoxue asked aloud. It did not matter to him. They could go anywhere, but it seemed that Long Yu could not go to Mixed Sound City. If they wanted to go to the Tang Empire, the journey would be longer and they might be caught by the people of the North Sea border city. Unfortunately, it seemed that they did not need to think about this problem. This was because Long Yu had already felt a cold, murderous aura coming from behind. Obviously, there was already an expert chasing them. "If this continues, we'll be caught. Let's split up. You guys go first, I'll cover you," Long Yu said calmly as he ran. "Okay, be careful." Mo Fengming nodded and did not say much. In the North Sea border city, he had deliberately been caught by the young city Lord Xing Liang to see if Long Yu would appear to save him. Since Long Yu had appeared, he had developed trust in Long Yu. At this moment, he would certainly not doubt Long Yu's decision. "Do you want us to help you take them?" Qi Xiaoxue was a little hesitant. "No, you guys are not fast. If you take another person, I'm afraid they will catch up. Leave it to me." Long Yu made a decision. Anyway, he could fly. Even if he took Lu Yuan and the girl with him, he could delay them for a while and then fly away. As long as they were careful, there should be no problem. Before the operation, Mo Fengming had already confirmed that there was no heavenly realm expert in the North Sea border city. For a moment, the three of them split up. Mo Fengming and Qi Xiaoxue headed in the direction of the Tang Empire and Mixsound City, respectively. As for Long Yu, he ran along a wide river and kept moving forward. As for the direction in front of him, Long Yu did not care at all. He only knew that he was carrying two women in his arms. If the people in the North Sea border city caught up with him, they would definitely catch up with him first. As long as he delayed for a while, he could directly fly up and get rid of the pursuers. Stop! Long Yu sprinted ahead, and behind him, an old man's angry roar could be heard. This voice caused Long Yu to be stunned for a moment. Was it the old alchemist? When Long Yu was in the border city's trading hall, he had seen this old alchemist in gray and heard his voice. At this time, he recognized him. Why was this old man chasing after him? Long Yu felt strange, but he did not dare to look back, because he could feel that the old alchemist was brewing an extremely strong killing intent. This killing intent caused Long Yu to be incomparably certain that as long as he turned his head around, he would not even have the chance to explain himself before he would be killed. It was impossible for Long Yu to fight LV9 True Spirit Realm expert head-on. The problem was that Long Yu had to buy time for Mo Fengming and Qi Xiaoxue to escape. If he used the Dragon Sparrow Dance or the Lunar Wings now, he could escape directly. However, if the old man chased after Mo Fengming or Qi Xiaoxue, the two of them would have no chance of escaping. Underworld Barrier. Jump! With a thought, Long Yu used the Underworld Qi to form a layer of Underworld Barrier to cover himself and the two women in his arms. Then he held the two women in his arms and directly jumped into the turbulent torrent. Chapter 263. Seeing Long Yu jump into the wide river with the two girls in his arms, the old man in gray was stunned. This is bad. He hurriedly ran to the place where Long Yu had jumped into the river. Looking at the surging river, he frowned slightly. After a long while, he finally determined the direction and continued to follow the river bank, heading downstream. He was sure that his granddaughter was in the hands of the boy in front of him. Junbayan, how dare a pervert play tricks in front of me? Do you think you can escape from me? The old man snorted coldly in his heart and rushed downstream at an extremely fast speed. Long Yu used the yellow spring as a barrier to block the flow of water. Then, he carried the two women and followed the flow of water. Why don't I put the girl down? Then this old man won't chase after me? Even if he does, it will definitely take up a lot of time. Long Yu sensed that the gray-robed old man's figure paused for a moment before continuing to chase after him. Long Yu's heart stirred as he tried to think of a countermeasure. Very soon, he rejected this idea. How did this old man know that his granddaughter was in Long Yu's hands? Obviously, the people in North Sea Border City had said it. How dare you smear my name? Xing Liang, you're good. A cold light flashed in Long Yu's eyes. If that was the case, he would not let the people in North Sea Border City live a good life. At least he had to let the old man know the truth. Long Yu was indeed not a match for the entire North Sea Border City, but at least he would not let them get away with it. As long as the old man in gray knew the truth, the entire North Sea Border City would be in danger. Long Yu believed that this gray-robed alchemist old man was definitely not just an ordinary expert at the 9th level of the true spirit realm. Behind him, there were most likely other powerful forces backing him up, or perhaps he had many friends with deep cultivations. Who did not want to be friends with a powerful pill master? At least Long Yu wanted to be friends with them, because he also wanted to learn pill refining. Unfortunately, now was not the time to befriend this gray-robed alchemist elder. As long as this girl wakes up, the truth will be revealed. Long Yu thought to himself, and decided to persevere until the girl woke up. Sensing that the gray-robed elder was getting closer and closer, Long Yu could only consider flying first to avoid this crisis and toy with him for a while. Dragon Sparrow Dance, rise! Long Yu activated his Xian Qi and unleashed his Xian-level transcendent grade Xian-level martial skill. He flew out of the water, hugged the two girls, and flew into the sky. The gray-robed alchemist elder felt that he was about to catch up and was preparing to enter the water to catch Long Yu. However, he suddenly realized that Long Yu had flown out of the water and could not help but frown. Humph! He snorted coldly and raised his hand. All the profound energy in his body condensed into a whirlwind, and it actually carried his entire body up into the air. Movement technique, imperial wind travel. Brat, do you think you're the only one who can fly? The gray-robed alchemist elder was able to refine elixirs that were useful even for Empyrean realm experts. Naturally, he could also cultivate many powerful and useful martial skills. This Xian-level martial skill, Imperial Wind Travel, was one of them. Not only could it increase his speed, it could also allow him to fly in the air. Long Yu turned around to take a look and immediately jumped in fright. This gray-robed alchemist elder actually knew a flying martial skill. This was bad. Take it. Long Yu did not dare to joke around with his life. He immediately threw the unconscious girl in his arms over. The girl's petite figure seemed to be dancing in the air, filled with an intoxicating beauty. Unfortunately, whether it was Long Yu or the gray-robed alchemist elder, neither of them had the time to appreciate this beautiful scene. The gray-robed alchemist elder immediately flew in the direction of his granddaughter and heaved a sigh of relief as he caught her in his arms. Long Yu, with Lu Yuan in his arms, activated lunar wings and dragon sparrow dance at the same time and flew forward at an even faster speed than before. Aphrodisiac. The gray-robed alchemist elder felt his granddaughter's pulse, and his expression changed slightly. He then took out a small medicine bottle and immediately fed the elixir to his granddaughter. Luckily, I came early, otherwise I would have made a huge mistake. Brat, if I don't catch you today, it would be a waste of my cultivation. The gray-robed alchemist elder was infuriated and continued to chase after Long Yu at an extremely fast speed. Although Long Yu's flying speed was extremely fast, even faster than Guegu E, who was in rank 9 True Spirit Realm, the gray-robed alchemist elder was not slow either. Both of them were carrying a girl, and their speed had decreased. However, the gray-robed alchemist elder and Long Yu were getting closer and closer. This old man is really hard to deal with. Long Yu cursed in his heart as he saw that he was about to be caught up. The people of Northsea Border City were really sinister. They had brought him such trouble, and he could not stop to explain himself. He also had no evidence to prove that he did not kidnap the old man's granddaughter. Did he have to leave Lu Yuan behind as well? Long Yu estimated that if he left Lu Yuan behind, he would be able to escape with his speed. However, if he left Lu Yuan behind now, wouldn't she be in danger again? Dance of the Dragon Sparrow, Dance of the Dragon Sparrow. If I could raise this martial skill to the next level, my speed would definitely be faster. It's a pity that a transcendent, profound martial skill isn't that easy to comprehend. Long Yu gritted his teeth. Did he have to release the dragon of 9 underworld's real spirit to escape? His heart palpitated at the thought of the powerful ancient consciousness that appeared out of nowhere. It was not something he could fight against at his current level. Once the ancient consciousness took over his consciousness, who knew what would happen? Old Senior, the girl in my arms is my friend. Her name is Lu Yuan. Like your granddaughter, she was captured by the young city lord of Northsea Border City. Long Yu had no choice but to tell the truth. As for whether the old man believed him or not, it was not something he could control. I'm only going to save my friend and your granddaughter. I didn't expect to be hunted down by you. What a joke. Long Yu laughed, undoubtedly mocking the old man's ignorance and stupidity. If you have anything to say, let's stop for a moment. The gray-robed old man was unmoved and snorted coldly. He continued to charge toward Long Yu at a high speed. He then waved his palm and gathered dark qi to form a raging whirlwind that swept toward Long Yu. It seemed that the old man did not believe Long Yu's words and had decided to attack him. As the whirlwind approached, Long Yu did not hesitate and immediately formed the underworld barrier. 9 underworlds chi spread out behind him in an attempt to block the whirlwind. However, under the attack of a LV9 true spirit realm expert, the Yellow Spring barrier could not withstand a single blow. In an instant, the whirlwind shattered the underworld barrier that Long Yu had formed and then surged toward him. He gritted his teeth and protected Lu Yuan in his arms. Chi-Chi, the whirlwind arrived in the blink of an eye, bombarding Long Yu's back, causing his nocturnal clothes to be torn to shreds. Immediately after, the power of the whirlwind seemed to want to tear his entire body apart. Thunderbolt body. Long Yu clenched his teeth and continued to use the dragon sparrow dance to flee forward. At the same time, he completely focused the nightmare lightning laws he had comprehended on his back, using them to block the violent whirlwind. Lightning flashed on his back. His body, which had been tempered by the sky thunder, was playing an extremely important role at this moment. He actually managed to block the whirlwind for a moment. Unfortunately, the martial skill executed by an LV9 true spirit realm expert was too powerful. Even though Long Yu had the thunderbolt body, he was unable to withstand it. Under the bombardment of this whirlwind, his back quickly became a bloody mess, causing him to endure unimaginable pain. However, even then he didn't stop, nor did he release the dragon of the Nine Hell, and he just continued flapping his wings and flying swiftly forward. This scene caused the heart of the gray-robed elder, who was chasing after them, to tremble. Could it be that what this brat said is true? Otherwise, why would you use your flesh and blood to block my whirlwind? He thought in his heart, if Long Yu was really the kind of shameless pervert, facing this kind of situation, he would definitely use the girl in his arms to block his whirlwind. But now, Long Yu was using his flesh and blood to protect the young girl in his arms. Either this was a ruse by Long Yu, or what Long Yu had said was true, that the young girl was his friend, and he had come here to save his friend, and to save his granddaughter as well. However, how could the people in North Sea Border City be bold enough to kidnap his granddaughter? The old man in gray was a little nervous. If that was the truth, wouldn't he be a bad person? But before the truth was revealed, he would not change his mind. Your friend should be poisoned by the love enchantment powder like my granddaughter. Put her down, and I'll give her the antidote. The old man in gray said as he chased after Lin Fan. It was a pity that Long Yu's back was a bloody mess after being hit by the old man in gray. Why would he listen to him? If the old man in gray continued to chase after him, he would have to release the dragon of 9 underworlds. Seeing that Long Yu was unmoved, the old man in gray finally stopped and did not continue to chase after him. He could tell that Long Yu was very determined to protect Lu Yuan in his arms. Since that was the case, he was most likely his friend. No rapist would value the prey in their hands so much that they would not hesitate to injure themselves to protect it. The gray-robed old man shook his head and watched as Long Yu flew away. He didn't chase after him. Long Yu heaved a sigh of relief. Old man, I'll take this hit from you today. I'll definitely repay you in the future. Long Yu gritted his teeth and flew forward quickly with Lu Yuan in his arms. However, the injury on his back was too serious, and he quickly became dispirited. He felt that Lu Yuan, who was in his arms, was as heavy as Mount Tai, pressing down on him and causing him to fall. If he hadn't abandoned his granddaughter and entered the store alone to buy alchemy materials, this wouldn't have happened. But now, he was most concerned about the other girl, Lu Yuan. Miss, you're awake? The gray-robed elder asked gently as he looked at Lu Yuan. Who are you? Lu Yuan woke up. She felt dizzy and immediately became alert. My name is Dust Crane. I'm a pill master. You've been drugged with the aphrodisiac. I've already given you the antidote. The gray-robed elder introduced himself and asked, Miss, is your name Lu Yuan? How did you know? Lu Yuan was stunned. Her memory was still stuck at the time when she escaped with Mo Fengming. Then, she was intercepted by a group of people who seemed to want to capture her. She resisted with all her might, but it was to no avail. In the end, She was still captured and lost consciousness. When she regained consciousness, she saw the gray-robed elder. "Then do you know someone called Junbayan?" The gray-robed elder frowned and continued to ask. "Junbayan?" Lu Yuan thought for a moment and shook her head. "I've never heard of him." "Thank you for saving me, Senior." "Never heard of him?" The gray-robed elder thought to himself. Does that mean that the lad was lying? But how did he know this girl's name? That's right, Junbayan might be his fake name. The gray-robed elder was not stupid. He immediately thought of something and asked. He's a young man who's not even 20 years old. Although he's only an LV5 of the true spirit realm, he has a flying combat soldier and can use flying movement skills. The gray-robed elder, Dusk Crane, immediately described Long Yu's appearance. Lu Yuan immediately thought of someone she had not seen for a long time. Long Yu? You're saying that it was Long Yu who saved me? Lu Yuan frowned and could not help but look around. She could not find any trace of Long Yu in the deep pool of the waterfall, which made her sad. She had a rough idea of what had happened and could not help but blame herself. Long Yu had taken such a huge risk to save her from the hands of the Northern Sea border city's young master. Even now, he was seriously injured and his whereabouts were unknown. Let's not stay here. The gray-robed elder, Dusk Crane, stood up and said, We'll know the truth very soon. Miss Lu, I'll take you to the Northern Sea border city now. See if you can recognize the person who captured you. What's the use? Lu Yuan snorted coldly. If you want to go by yourself. I want to find Long Yu. Lu Yuan did not have a good impression of the gray-robed elder who had injured Long Yu. This old man had actually listened to the words of the Northern Sea border city's young master and chased after Long Yu. This was completely repaying kindness with enmity. She glanced at the cute girl who was only 15 or 16 years old and could not help but think that if it was not for Long Yu, the two of them would have met with misfortune. I didn't think that we would really find this brat after chasing in this direction. We have done a great service this time. A somewhat familiar voice entered Long Yu's ears. I didn't think that this brat would be seriously injured and fall down the waterfall. We just happened to pick him up. Speaking of which, this brat is really tough. The wound on his back almost reached his heart, but he's still alive. Let's not talk so much. It's more important to bring him back to Mixsound City. No matter what, Mixsound City will definitely give us a lot of good stuff after we catch this brat. As Long Yu's consciousness gradually awakened, even though he had yet to open his eyes, he had already realized who the three people who were dragging him on the ground were. Hua Iluan, Ian, and Lu Shucheng. Weren't these three people from the Jintian clan of the Great Tang Kingdom? Why were they helping Mixsound City now? Long Yu sensed that the injury on his back was indeed very serious. It seemed like the destructive power of the martial skills of the 9th layer True Spirit Realm experts was really terrifying. Among these three people, only Ian has reached the 1st layer True Spirit Realm. Long Yu could not help but sneer after he quickly figured out their martial skill realms. These three guys thought they were lucky, but they did not expect Long Yu to regain consciousness so quickly. Stop! Long Yu was worried about Lu Yuan, who had fallen into the rapids with him. He would not waste any time at this moment. He bellowed, then leaped up and stood in front of the three men, blocking their path. Chapter 265. As soon as Ian saw Long Yu standing in front of him, he immediately reacted. This kid is seriously injured. Hurry up and break his arms and legs. Ian was not afraid. He was now very clear that Long Yu was seriously injured and dragged by them for so long. The strength that he could exert must not be that great. Unfortunately, he still underestimated Long Yu's strength. Water defense vortex. Long Yu did not say any nonsense at all, directly punching out with water vapor. This time, he did not gain nothing from falling into the torrent and the waterfall. Instead, he comprehended some skills of condensing water chi, which allowed him to comprehend the two martial skills, Water Manipulation Whirlpool and Water Manipulation Canopy, to the minor accomplishment realm. Ian, Hua Yiluan and Lu Shucheng were sucked into the whirlpool of water that had reached the initial mastery realm, and were sent flying. Although Long Yu was seriously injured, it was still a piece of cake to deal with these three guys. Why are you guys here? Where is the Jintian clan? Long Yu stepped forward and stepped on Ian's chest, firmly suppressing him. We left the Jintian clan. Ian was swept away by the water defense vortex, and his whole body was dizzy, subconsciously answering. Left the Jintian clan? Long Yu frowned slightly. Yes, the Jintian clan has even handed over the heaven suppression art, and is on the verge of decline. If we don't leave the Jintian clan, how will we have the chance to become stronger? Ian said with a sad face. Then where did you find me? Long Yu exerted force on his foot, almost causing Ian to spit out blood. The difference in their martial Dao realms was several levels apart, and the difference in their basic strength was too great. Ian wasn't Long Yu's match at all. Ian couldn't even withstand this kick. If Long Yu had used a little more force, he would have lost his life. Under such circumstances, how could he dare not tell the truth? Mixing Sound City is looking for you everywhere. We went to the waterfall and happened to see you falling into the waterfall with severe injuries. We wanted to bring you back to claim the reward. Ian answered honestly. At least you're honest. Long Yu snorted coldly and retracted his right foot that was stepping on his chest. Ian thought that he was saved. However, just as Long Yu retracted his right foot, he took out the 9 nether dragon spear from the 9 nether space. He brandished the spear and created layers of spear shadows. 10,000 slaughter. Long Yu's spear technique instantly assassinated Ian, Hua Yiluan, and Lu Shucheng. Killing intent enveloped the three of them, leaving them no room to resist. Long Yu's spear shadows shattered their heart meridians. Their eyes were wide open, as if they couldn't believe that they had died just like that. If they were facing the Jintian clan disciples, Long Yu naturally wouldn't kill them. However, since the three of them had left the Jintian clan, Long Yu naturally wouldn't show any mercy. One had to know that Mixing Sound City was looking for him. If he let the three of them go, it would definitely attract a large group of Mixing Sound City martial arts experts. Of course, Long Yu wouldn't be so stupid as to let them go. The only thing he could do was to kill them on the spot. I wonder how Lu Yuan is. Long Yu was worried about Lu Yuan, so he didn't stay here for long. Instead, he immediately turned around and sprinted in the direction of the waterfall that the three of them had mentioned. It was noon, and the sun was shining brightly. Long Yu finally heard the loud hua hua sound of water flowing in front of him. He raised his head and looked in front of him. Indeed, he saw a huge waterfall. This waterfall was where he and Lu Yuan had fallen. He had been coincidentally found by Yi Yin and the other two and taken away. He didn't know where Lu Yuan was now. Below the waterfall was a deep pool. The pool was extremely deep, and even though the water was clear, one couldn't see the bottom at a glance. Around the deep pool was a large, dense forest. The sounds of birds and insects could be heard constantly, and it made one feel like they were in nature, far away from the crowd. Long Yu looked at the surface of the deep pool, but he didn't see any sign of Lu Yuan. He couldn't help but feel his heart sink. Could something have happened to her? He remembered that Lu Yuan had been poisoned by some aphrodisiac. Just by hearing the name of this poison, he knew it wasn't something good. Someone's here. Long Yu suddenly heard the sound of people talking in the bushes not far away. His heart skipped a beat, and he immediately hid himself. Very quickly, two familiar figures entered his sight. It was the Northern Sea border city's young castellan, Xing Liang, and his LV9 True Spirit Realm bodyguard, holding a flame streamer. Young castellan, we haven't found him for so long. I'm afraid we won't be able to find him. Why don't we go back first? The bald bodyguard holding the flame streamer hesitated for a moment before saying, Why are you in such a hurry? Young City Lord Xing Liang's entire body was covered with all kinds of shiny high-rank combat weapons. Hearing Wu Qi's words, he frowned and cursed, Idiot! Are you afraid that my dad is no match for that old man? Just follow me and find that kid called Junbayan. If he's alive, I want to see him. If he's dead, I want to see his corpse. No, young Castellan. The bald bodyguard holding the flame streamer was really worried about the young Castellan's father. Although the Castellan is also in the LV9 true spirit realm, his strength is still ordinary. But that old man is an alchemist in the LV9 true spirit realm. If he has some special elixir, the Castellan will be at a disadvantage. No matter what, you have to come with me to find that kid's corpse. No matter what, I want that pair of winged combat weapons on him. Young Castellan Xing Liang's eyes lit up. At the thought that Long Yu had a pair of winged combat weapons that allowed him to fly, he couldn't help but feel excited. If he had such a weapon, wouldn't he be able to go anywhere? It was simply too cool. The bald bodyguard holding the flame streamer had no choice but to continue to follow the young Castellan and look for traces of Junbayan. The northern sea border city's Castellan, Xing Liang's father, is up against an old man. As Long Yu listened to their conversation, he couldn't help but guess. Could it be the gray-robed alchemist elder? If that was the case, the gray-robed alchemist elder couldn't possibly lose. After all, he knew the movement skill, wind manipulation. If he couldn't win, he could still fly. His shamelessness was no less than Long Yu's. So, this old man is up against the northern sea border city? He should have found out the truth. But I don't know where Lu Yuan is. If she's still here, young Castellan Xing Liang and his bodyguard should have found her after searching for so long. Long Yu continued to speculate in his heart. He quickly came to a conclusion. Could it be that the old man had found Lu Yuan first? This was the only way to make the old man completely believe that this matter was caused by the people of North Sea Border City. Thinking of this, Long Yu heaved a sigh of relief. In this case, Lu Yuan's safety shouldn't be a problem. Next, he had to think more about himself. Young Castellan Xing Liang, you slandered me and caused me to be seriously injured, causing me to fall from the waterfall. I must take revenge. A cold light flashed in Long Yu's eyes. If that's the case, I'll find your father and see how the fight goes. Xing Liang had a bald LV9 true spirit realm bodyguard with a flame banner. Long Yu was definitely no match for him. Since that was the case, Long Yu might as well find trouble with his father. Lunar wings. Long Yu condensed his extreme Yin Qi and activated a pair of wings. After which, he soared into the air above the forest. Of course, he was flying close to the top of the forest, so he wasn't very conspicuous. As for the martial cultivators in the forest, it would be difficult for them to find him because the forest was too dense. In front of him was the giant waterfall. Long Yu looked over and saw that there was a burst of violent energy near the waterfall. That power, it's indeed a battle between LV9 true spirit realm experts. With a thought, Long Yu immediately flew in the direction of the battle. Not long after, he once again saw the old alchemist in gray robes. At this time, he was guarding in front of the two girls, fighting against a strong man in rock armor. You've already lost. The gray-clothed old alchemist calmly stood there, stroking his beard. He coldly stared at the brawny man wearing rock armor. Xing Feichuan, is this how you teach your son to come and kidnap my granddaughter as a gift to a disciple of the 10,000 Arrows sect? Humph, stinky old man, you barely managed to fight me to a draw with the help of pills. What do you have to say that I've already lost? The brawny man in rock armor, who was also the castellan of the northern sea border city, Xing Feichuan, harumphed coldly. He did not think that he had lost the battle. Is that so? The gray-robed old alchemist calmly asked. At this moment, the brawny man, Xing Feichuan, suddenly pressed his hand against his chest and spat out a mouthful of blood. You stinky old man, how dare you use poison? I'm an alchemist. As long as it can help me win, I'll use it. So what if I use poison? The gray-robed alchemist old man snorted lightly. Call your bastard son over. This old man will personally cripple his cultivation today. Ha ha! Although Xing Feichuan was poisoned, he did not admit defeat. Instead, he suddenly laughed wildly. Old man, you're too naive. Do you really think that you can go against our northern sea border city by yourself? Following his words, three figures suddenly jumped out from the nearby bushes. These three people had obviously been lying in ambush, but they were not discovered by the old alchemist in gray. When Xing Feichuan felt that things were not going well, the three people finally jumped out. LV9, True Spirit Realm. The old alchemist in gray's expression changed. He did not expect that Xing Feichuan, as a man, would bully him with numbers. Let's go. The old alchemist in gray did not hesitate at all. He grabbed one of the girls and immediately executed the movement skill, Imperial Wind Movement, in an attempt to escape with the two girls. Initially, the old alchemist in gray wanted to seek revenge from the people of the northern sea border city, but he did not expect the other party to send out so many people. However, it seemed like it was too late for him to escape now. Stop him. Xing Feichuan, who was wearing rock armor, gave the order with a cold laugh. Instantly, the three LV9 True Spirit Realm experts who jumped out each executed an offensive martial skill at the old alchemist in gray. Chapter 266. In the heavenly mandate continent, one's true strength could not be measured by the martial arts realm of a martial cultivator. For example, Long Yu. Although his cultivation was only at the 5th tier of the True Spirit Secret Realm, he could easily deal with 4 or 5 martial cultivators of the same realm. Even if he faced an expert 2 realms higher than him, he could still win in the end. And now, the gray-robed alchemist in front of Long Yu was the same. As a high-level alchemist, the people he befriended were either rich or powerful, and many of them were even in the heavenly human secret realm. Under such circumstances, the martial arts techniques he cultivated and the combat weapon he used were much stronger than ordinary martial cultivators. When he fought against Xing Feichuan, the city lord of the North Sea border city, he could defeat Xing Feichuan without much effort. Even when he was ambushed by 3 experts at the 9th tier of the True Spirit Secret Realm, the gray-robed alchemist had enough methods to protect himself. Combat weapon, Sea Overturning Seal. The gray-robed alchemist took out a stone plate mark from his bosom. Suddenly, an endless aura of desolation spread from the stone plate mark, shocking everyone present. Boom! Boom! The stone tablet imprint known as the Overturning Ocean Seal instantly grew in size. A terrifying force swept toward the area around the gray-robed old man, sending the attacks of the 3 real ambushers flying. This combat weapon, Long Yu watched from afar and could not help but squint his eyes. This combat weapon, known as the Sea Overturning Seal, was definitely a powerful combat weapon that surpassed the spiritual level. Even Long Yu had never seen a combat weapon of this level, but he could feel a terrifying power from it, as if it was going to tear the sky apart. Rise! The gray-robed alchemist raised his hand and flew into the air with the 2 girls in tow. Don't let him escape. Xing Feichuan, the city lord of the North Sea border city, shouted. The rock armor he was wearing suddenly disintegrated into pieces of gravel, which bombarded the gray-robed alchemist. Although the other 3 were knocked away by the first attack, they were not discouraged. They continued to form their own whirlwinds to attack the gray-robed alchemist, trying to keep him here. Even though the gray-robed old man had taken out his extremely powerful combat weapon, the Sea Overturning Seal, he could only unleash less than half of his combat strength in order to protect the 2 girls by his side. The Overturn the Ocean Seal flew out and blocked the attacks of the 3 people. However, it was too late to block the attack of Xing Feichuan, the city lord of Northern Sea border city. Pieces of gravel continuously smashed into the back of the gray-robed elder, causing him to spit out a mouthful of blood on the spot. Fortunately, after this round of bombardment, the gray-robed old man flew up into the air and finally reached a sufficient height, away from the city lord and the other's attack range. Damn it, he got away. City lord, what should we do now? One of the 9th rank True Spirit Secret Realm martial cultivators asked with greed in his eyes. After witnessing the power of the war soldier Sea Overturning Seal, every single one of them wanted to take it for themselves. It was impossible to let the gray-robed old man off just like that. He was hit by the gravel of my combat weapon and must have suffered serious internal injuries. He won't be able to fly far if he only relies on his martial arts skills. Keep an eye on them. City Lord Xing Feichuan snorted coldly as he watched the gray-robed old man fly further and further away in the sky. A murderous look flashed across his eyes. He knew that he could never let the old man go. Otherwise, it would not be long before more trouble came knocking on his door. He hated his son for causing him such trouble, but now that the matter was over, he had no time to scold his son. It was better to solve the problem as soon as possible. Everyone knew that an alchemist at the 9th rank of True Spirit Secret Realm was considered to be at the top of the pyramid in the entire Heavenly Mandate continent. If the old man called a few experts of the Heavenly Human Secret Realm over, the entire northern seaborder city might be reduced to ruins. Xing Feichuan could only lead the group to chase after the old man on the ground. However, soon, the gray-robed old man flew into the clouds with the two girls and disappeared from everyone's sight. Birds fly high in the sky. On the Heavenly Mandate continent, whether or not a martial arts practitioner could fly made a huge difference. Whether one reached the Heavenly Human Secret Realm, relied on martial arts skills, or relied on flying combat weapons. As long as they could fly, the gap between them and ordinary martial arts practitioners would be immediately apparent. In the clouds, the gray-robed old man carried the two girls and kept flying forward. The front of his gray robe was already stained with a layer of blood. Just now, although he had used the sea-overturning seal to block the most fatal attack, he had not been able to block the attack of Xing Feichuan's combat weapon turning into gravel in time. He was injured, and his injuries were not light. "Young man Long Yu, how long are you going to follow me?" Cough, cough. The gray-robed old man flew in front, and after a while, he said this. Obviously, he had discovered that Long Yu had been following him. These words caused the expressions of the two girls he was carrying to change. Among them, Lu Yuan was naturally overjoyed. Long Yu had saved her from a North Sea border city. She had not seen Long Yu yet, so she had to thank him properly. As for the gray-robed old man's granddaughter, her face was filled with curiosity and confusion. She could not wait to find out what kind of person the young man who had saved her and Lu Yuan was. And this sentence also made Long Yu, who was following behind, understand immediately. This old man already knew his real name, and he had brought Lu Yuan with him. This meant that he most likely already knew who had kidnapped his granddaughter. Since that was the case, there was no need for Long Yu to hide anymore. He descended from a higher layer of clouds and quickly appeared in the sight of the old man and the two girls, flying side by side with the old man. Long Yu. As expected, Lu Yuan saw Long Yu. Her star-like eyes sparkled with gratitude. As for the old man's granddaughter, she sized up Long Yu curiously. She wanted to see how this person was different from others. "My young friend Long Yu, I have wronged a good person. I have sinned. This is a healing elixir. It can help you recover quickly from the injuries on your back." As the old man spoke, he tossed a small medicine bottle to Long Yu. Long Yu caught it without hesitation. This old man had not figured out the truth, yet he had attacked him so ruthlessly, almost causing his and Lu Yuan's deaths. Just this bottle of healing elixir was definitely not enough to compensate for Long Yu's loss. Long Yu opened the small medicine bottle and found that there were more than 10 elixirs inside. Judging from the medicinal fragrance they emitted, these were all supreme grade and even supreme grade healing elixirs. Just this small bottle of healing elixirs was worth at least 30 to 40 crystal cores, which was comparable to 3 or 4 supreme grade star sea swords. "They're quite sincere," Long Yu thought to himself as he swallowed one of the supreme grade healing elixirs. Suddenly, a strong medicinal effect spread from the elixir and spread throughout his body. Then it gathered on his back and healed his serious injuries. This healing elixir was very effective. Long Yu felt that as long as the injuries were not caused by an Empyrean Realm expert, as long as he did not die at the time, he only needed to take this healing elixir to completely recover. As an alchemist, the thing he carried with him the most was definitely healing elixirs. "My young friend Long Yu, my name is Sunset Pine, and I am an alchemist. The gray-robed old man formally introduced himself, then pointed to the front. That valley has a narrow entrance. Why don't we recuperate there? Old man, where did you come from? Why didn't you go home when you were injured? Long Yu asked casually. To recuperate in the valley near North Sea Border City? What if they caught up? Humph, that brat from North Sea Border City dared to kidnap my granddaughter. How can I let it go? Pine Crane snorted coldly. Long Yu, if you trust me, then stay here and guard for me for the night. Tomorrow morning, the people from Northern Sea Border City will die one by one. A pair of people will die one by one. Is that true? Long Yu was very interested. Long Yu did not have a good impression of North Sea Border City, not to mention that they had kidnapped Lu Yuan and drugged her with the aphrodisiac. If there was a chance to take revenge on North Sea Border City, he would not miss it. Now, as a powerful alchemist in LV9 True Spirit Secret Realm, this old man might really have the ability to do so. Of course Sunset Pine, will take my words seriously. Sunset Pine nodded, then took out the combat weapon called the Overturning Ocean Seal and threw it to Long Yu. Long Yu, you can play with this middle black-rank combat weapon for now. Tonight, you will stand guard at the entrance of the valley. With this Overturning Ocean Seal, even a LV9 True Spirit Secret Realm Martial Cultivator will not be able to harm you. Long Yu caught the seal on the stone badge. The Overturning Ocean Seal was indeed a black-ranked combat weapon that was stronger than a Supreme Spirit-ranked combat weapon. The words Overturning Ocean were engraved on it, emitting an intimidating aura. This Sunset Pine is already compatible with the Overturning Ocean Seal, Tianqi. Long Yu was slightly surprised when he sensed the faint consciousness in the Overturning Ocean Seal. It seemed like Sunset Pine's true strength was definitely not something an ordinary LV9 True Spirit Secret Realm Martial Cultivator could compare to. Long Yu followed Sunset Pine and the two ladies to a valley less than 100 li away from the Northern Ocean Border City. Other than believing that the old man had the ability to defeat the Northern Ocean Border City, Long Yu had his own plans for following Sunset Pine. Alchemy was a skill that he had been thinking about for a long time. Although the old man had misunderstood him and almost killed him, it was not intentional. It would be great if the old man could teach him alchemy. Of course, he would have to wait until the Northern Ocean Border City was settled. Soon, Pine Crane Dusk landed in the valley and found a random tree. He swallowed a healing pill and took out the alchemy furnace that he carried with him. Spatial weapon. Long Yu landed on the ground and narrowed his eyes. He was sure that Sunset Pine had a spatial weapon on him. Otherwise, he would not have brought a huge alchemy cauldron with him. It seemed like he was planning to use the night to refine something to deal with the Northern Ocean Border City. Poison. Chapter 267. Long Yu stood at the mouth of the narrow valley, hiding behind a tree. Lu Yuan, dressed in black, stood beside him. Her snow-white hair danced in the night wind, gently tugging at Long Yu's heartstrings. Long Yu, thank you so much this time. Meeting Long Yu again, Lu Yuan felt much closer to him. You're welcome. It's what I should do. Your half of the Lunar Heaven tablet is still with me. Long Yu said with a smile. It's fine. I'll leave it with you. Lu Yuan laughed softly. Compared to her own innocence, a mere half of the Lunar Heaven tablet was nothing to Lu Yuan. She did not know how to repay Long Yu for saving her from the North Sea Border City. Furthermore, Long Yu had been seriously injured because of it. Oh, right, Long Yu. Are you really going to stand guard for that old man? Lu Yuan asked. In reality, because Pine Crane had seriously injured Long Yu, she did not have a good impression of Pine Crane. Logically speaking, based on Long Yu's personality, he would never forgive anyone who hurt him. Now, not only was Long Yu following Pine Crane, but he was also standing guard for him. If he only wanted to deal with the North Sea Border City, this reason was too far-fetched. It was definitely not enough for Long Yu to do this. So what if I stand guard for a night? Long Yu said with a smile. Oh, right. Since we have nothing to do, let's comprehend the Lunar Heaven tablet together. He did not reveal his true intentions. After he finished speaking, he took out the much smaller lunar heavenly steel and placed it between him and Lu Yuan. Now that the two of them had comprehended the power of the lunar laws of heaven and earth, if they could improve further and comprehend the lunar laws of heaven domain, then their strength would increase by another level. As for improving further and truly cultivating the laws, that would only be possible after they stepped into the heaven-tier mystic realm. Lu Yuan didn't ask any further. Since Long Yu said so, then she would comprehend the lunar heavenly steel first. The two of them sat down cross-legged. The lunar heavenly steel was between the two of them, emitting waves of grayish-white mist. If it was a normal martial cultivator that hadn't condensed a true spirit, sitting in this kind of environment for an entire night would definitely freeze to death. However, this cold chi was nothing to Long Yu and Lu Yuan, who had comprehended the laws of the moon. Night fell quickly. The entire valley was calm and tranquil, with a constant chirping of birds and insects. Under the illumination of the bright moonlight, Long Yu felt rather carefree. Unfortunately, he knew that this valley might be relatively quiet in the first half of the night, but in the second half of the night, there would almost be people from the North Sea border city searching. If Long Yu was the governor of the North Sea border city, he wouldn't let Pine Crane leave just like that. Otherwise, there would definitely be big trouble soon. If the North Sea border city sent people to search, it would most likely be the tens of thousands of martial soldiers in the city. Therefore, the first batch of people to find this valley could not be experts, so Long Yu wasn't afraid. However, the following waves of people would definitely be stronger, and there might even be experts of the LV9 True Spirit Realm. At that time, Long Yu could only rely on the middle profound level combat weapon, the overturning ocean seal, that Pine Crane had placed on him. Late at night, all was silent. Long Yu was comprehending the power of the lunar heavenly steel with Lu Yuan when he suddenly heard light footsteps coming from the forest outside the valley. Someone's coming. Long Yu's heart skipped a beat, and he immediately kept the lunar heavenly steel. Of course, Lu Yuan had also sensed the movement in the distance, and she became alert. Once she discovered any martial cultivators from a North Sea border city, she would definitely kill them immediately. As Lu Yuan's friend, Long Yu hated the North Sea border city's shamelessness to the extreme. As the person involved, Lu Yuan obviously hated the people from the North Sea border city even more. The valley is right in front. Let's go in and take a look. If there's no one, we should go back and rest. This is so tiring. I wonder who that gray-robed old man is, that he actually needed tens of thousands of people to search for him. Don't talk nonsense. Let's go to the valley in front and take a look. Come back early. As these whispers ended, two martial soldiers from the North Sea border city stepped on the dead branches in the forest and approached the valley step by step. Perhaps because the valley was a suspicious area, they walked very slowly, afraid of making any noise. Unfortunately, these martial soldiers had yet to condense their true spirits and did not cultivate any high-level movement martial skills. Even if they made a little noise, it would be detected by Long Yu and Lu Yuan. Lu Yuan's figure transformed into a stream of sword light and instantly shuttled through the pitch-black forest. She did not make any sound. Like a gust of wind, she approached the two martial soldiers who had come to explore the valley. Puffed, puffed. As the pair of scarlet short swords in her hands danced, the two 9th level Dao martial soldiers were instantly killed by her and fell to the ground. At the same time, the sound of several martial soldiers falling to the ground could be heard not far from the forest outside the valley. Lu Yuan knew that Long Yu had succeeded. That's it. There's no need to deal with it. Soon, Long Yu appeared in front of Lu Yuan and returned to the entrance of the valley with her. The movements of the other martial army were still very cautious. They first sent two martial soldiers to patrol the entrance of the valley, and even more martial soldiers were on guard in the forest. If they discovered anything amiss, they would immediately react and inform the main force to come over. Unfortunately, Long Yu had stealthily found the Wu army that was guarding the back and casually killed all of them with a single strike. In the silence of the night, No one knew that such a one-sided massacre had occurred in the forest outside the entrance of the valley, until the smell of blood from the corpses of the 6 martial soldiers spread into the distance with the night wind. Long Yu had deliberately not dealt with these corpses in order to attract more people. He returned to the entrance of the valley and raised his head to look at the moon. He knew that it was already early in the morning, and there were at most 4 hours until daybreak. At daybreak, he would definitely be able to attract some experts. At that time, it would be up to Pine Crane to fulfill his words of 1 to come, 1 to die, 2 to die. Someone died here. Quickly inform the others. Quick, quick! Not long after, a cry of alarm came from the forest not far away. It seemed that the smell of blood had attracted the other martial soldiers from the northern sea border city. Without any hesitation, Long Yu's figure flashed in the night. Before long, there were more corpses in the forest. However, the situation in the valley had finally been conveyed. There should be some experts rushing over soon. Be careful. Long Yu stood at the entrance of the valley, narrowing his eyes as he calculated the time. I wonder how Old Man Pine Crane's elixir refinement is going? The sky was already slightly bright. Before Pine Crane's elixir refinement was completed, Long Yu had to guard the entrance of the valley no matter what, and not let anyone enter. Let's go, it's just ahead. That old man must be hiding in this valley. After a while, a series of messy footsteps came from the forest, causing Long Yu's heart to tremble. He knew that the real experts were coming. From afar, he saw a cluster of flames rising in the forest. Then, a figure appeared in the flames, holding a flame banner. It was the bodyguard of Young City Lord Xing Liang. Seal of overturning the oceans, go. Long Yu did not hesitate. Against an expert at the 9th layer True Spirit realm, he could only rely on his middle dark rank combat weapon, the Seal of Overturning the Oceans. This Seal of Overturning the Oceans had already merged with Pine Crane's heavenly enlightenment. It possessed its own consciousness and did not require anyone to control it. It could automatically fight and defend against strong enemies. The Seal of Overturning the Oceans flew out from Long Yu's hand, and a whirlwind of the Overturning the Oceans appeared, causing a gust of wind to blow across the dark forest. Under this gust of wind, the flames that had just risen in the forest were instantly extinguished. It's that combat weapon. Li Jin, catch it for me. You'll be rewarded handsomely. A familiar and urgent voice entered Long Yu's ears, causing Long Yu to feel a surge of joy. It was indeed the young city lord of the northern sea border city, Xing Liang. Young city lord, please be careful. The bald martial cultivator Li Jin, who was holding the flame banner, let out a groan and took a step forward, preparing to fight the Seal of Overturning the Oceans. It was extremely difficult to subdue a middle dark rank combat weapon. Even Li Jin did not have the confidence to do so. Luckily, he was sure that the gray-robed elder had been injured by the city lord. Otherwise, he would not have only used one combat weapon. As for the 2 girls, what was there to be afraid of with 2 4th-layer True Spirit Realm cultivators? Even if they attacked together, they would not be a match for young city lord Xing Liang. What he did not know was that the one guarding the entrance of the valley was not the 2 girls, but Long Yu, while the bald martial cultivator and the Seal of Overturning the Oceans were fighting. Long Yu's figure was like a ghost as he rapidly passed through the forest, getting closer and closer to young city lord Xing Liang. In the dark forest, neither Long Yu nor the others could see anything clearly. Initially, the bald martial cultivator Li Jin had condensed a flame to light up the forest, but it was extinguished by the power of the Seal of Overturning the Oceans. Young city lord Xing Liang and a large group of martial cultivators around him did not notice Long Yu's stealthy approach. The large group of martial cultivators around Xing Liang were mostly martial soldiers who had yet to condense their true spirits. Among them, there were only 3 or 4 generals who had condensed their true spirits. At this moment, it was impossible for them to stop Long Yu's merciless attack. 9 Nether Dragon Fist, 9 Nether Explosion. Without any hesitation, Long Yu heard young city lord Xing Liang's voice and threw a punch towards the ground from afar. At the place where young city lord Xing Liang's voice came out, a thick 9 nether chi was condensed. 9 nether explosion gushed out. Young city lord Xing Liang's cries rang out immediately. Young city lord, what's going on? The bald martial cultivator Li Jin, who was attempting to subdue the seal of overturning the oceans, heard Xing Liang's cries and immediately waved his flame banner, igniting a cluster of flames that lit up half the forest. With one glance, he saw young city lord Li Jin, who was in the middle of the group of martial cultivators' protection, being shrouded by a dark pillar of qi, causing him to scream in pain. Seeing this, how could Li Jin not know what was going on? Junbayan. Chapter 268. Long Yu punched the ground. When he heard young city lord Xing Liang scream, he knew that he had succeeded. He did not stay at the same spot and retreated to the entrance of the valley in a flash. Even if you have all kinds of combat weapons, there's no way you can survive a direct hit from the 9 nether explosive flow. Long Yu thought to himself. He did not bother to check on Xing Liang. He was confident that Xing Liang had died from the corrosion of the 9 nether explosive flow. As Li Jin held the flame banner and spread the flames throughout the forest, Duskrain Pine's combat weapon, Overturn the Ocean Seal, immediately displayed greater power. At this moment, a strong gust of wind formed countless tornadoes that swept toward the flames in the valley and extinguished them. A small stone tablet imprint, after being engraved with a weapon-refining formation, possessed such terrifying power. When these tornadoes gathered together, they could almost overturn the sea. Li Jin was entangled by the Overturn the Ocean seal and could not chase after Long Yu, which made him even more frustrated. This time, he had made a huge mistake by failing to protect young city lord Xing Liang. The city lord of North Sea border city, Xing Feichuan, would not let him off easily. Based on Li Jin's understanding of Xing Feichuan, it was very likely that he would be killed by a furious Xing Feichuan. Under such circumstances, was there still a need for him to risk his life for North Sea border city? As an expert in LV9 true spirit realm, Li Jin's dream was to step into the oneness of heaven and man realm. He had originally followed Xing Feichuan to obtain more cultivation resources from North Sea border city. But now that his life was in danger, he would not risk his life for North Sea border city. Let's go. Li Jin held the flame banner and fought against the Overturn the Ocean seal, but he had lost all will to fight. Of course, even if he wanted to leave, he could not go to a small place like Mixed Sound City or the Great Tang Kingdom. If he wanted to step into the oneness of heaven and man realm, he had to leave North Sea country and go to a country that was at least as strong as North Sea country. He waved the flame banner, and a burst of flames surged up. In an instant, it opened up a path in the other direction of the dense forest. Li Jin's bald figure flashed and quickly escaped with the flame banner. Once Li Jin left, the Overturn the Ocean seal did not chase after him. Instead, it returned to Long Yu's hand to prepare for the next opponent. This fellow sure runs fast. Wang Chong muttered to himself. Long Yu narrowed his eyes. It was impossible for him to chase after an expert at the 9th layer of the true spirit secret realm. The other party's escape had saved Long Yu some effort. Otherwise, it would have been troublesome. Moreover, this bald-headed Li Jin was only young city lord Xing Liang's bodyguard. He was not the main culprit, so there was no need to spend so much effort chasing after him. With Xing Liang's death and Li Gui's escape, the remaining dozens of Wujun were immediately at a loss as to what to do. The leader of the group, who was at the 3rd level of the true spirit realm, immediately shouted, "Everyone, run in different directions and call the city lord over." As soon as these words were shouted, the surrounding martial soldiers dispersed without hesitation. No matter who it was, they all value their own lives the most. Their strongest person, Li Jin, had already escaped. If they stayed, wouldn't they be courting death? Moreover, in order to avoid being chosen as the first target by Long Yu, not a single person actually went to deal with Xing Liang's corpse that had been corroded by the netherworld qi. Instead, all kinds of battle weapons were taken from him. Of course, Long Yu would not let these guys go. Dance of the Dragon Sparrow, kill. A pair of pitch-black wings spread out from his back. When chasing after prey, this pair of wings could increase Long Yu's speed to an extremely terrifying level. He was like a bird that represented death, constantly attacking the martial practitioners that were fleeing in all directions in the dense forest. Not long after, a total of 32 martial practitioners were all killed by Long Yu. The entire forest was filled with the smell of blood, making it difficult for Long Yu to breathe. Although it was somewhat cruel, after all, these martial practitioners were only following orders. However, Long Yu knew that if he were to fall into their hands, these people would not show any mercy either. In the Heavenly Mandate continent, martial arts were the most respected. If one wanted to stand to the end, the only way was to reach the peak. Upper spiritual level battle weapon armor, arm guards, super spiritual level battle boots, leg guards, back armor. Long Yu had looted a lot of good stuff, and these battle weapons, without exception, were all taken from the young city lord Xing Liang by these martial practitioners. Long Yu was sure that these guys definitely had the intention of looting the battle weapons and leaving this place to find somewhere else to develop. Unfortunately, under the pursuit of Long Yu, who was like the god of death, no one was able to escape alive. All these battle weapons are worth at least 20 to 30 crystal cores. This young city lord is really rich. Long Yu sighed as he collected all these battle weapons and put them into the space of 9 serenities. He did not intend to use these battle weapons. For him, these things were just a burden. It was better to put them aside for now. When there was a chance in the future, he could use these battle weapons to exchange for some elixirs, which seemed more practical. Long Yu turned around and walked towards the entrance of the valley. But at this time, he suddenly heard a sharp sound of air being torn apart, coming from behind him at high speed. Dodge! Without thinking, Long Yu rolled on the ground. Then, he heard an arrow fly over his head, piercing through a few trees, and finally nailed itself on the trunk of a giant tree. Someone was ambushing him with an arrow. A disciple of the 1,000 Arrows sect. A cold light flashed in Long Yu's eyes. He immediately recognized the identity of the other party. Back in the Northern Sea border city, when he had just rescued Lu Yuan and Sunset Dance, he had been chased by these 2 disciples of the 10,000 Arrows sect. Truth be told, the other party's divine arrow, 10,000 miles kill, was quite powerful. However, against Long Yu, they could only look at him in the dust, as they could not fly. It just so happens that I feel like I'm about to break through to the next level. I'll use you guys as practice. The corner of Long Yu's mouth curled up. The disciples of the 1,000 Arrows sect, Qi Tianpeng and Kai Xinji, must be working together. It was impossible for Long Yu to fight against the 2 of them alone. However, Long Yu still had the Overturn the Ocean seal in his hands. The pitch-black wings on his back unfurled, carrying him quickly into the air above the dense forest. Almost at this moment, from 2 different directions, powerful arrows continuously shot at him, trying to shoot him down from the sky. Even in the dark, the disciples of the 1,000 Arrows sect had excellent eyesight. Perhaps they had cultivated some kind of martial technique that allowed them to clearly grasp Long Yu's whereabouts. It's only these 2, then there shouldn't be a problem. Long Yu nodded to himself. He flew in a circle in the air and found that there were no other people from the Northern Sea border city nearby. This was undoubtedly good news for him. However, in this pitch-black early morning, he couldn't be sure if he was mistaken or not. In any case, Long Yu could use the Dragon Sparrow dance to fly. At this time, it could be said that he was quite bold. Overturn the Ocean seal, go deal with one. With a wave of his hand, Long Yu threw the Overturn the Ocean seal in the direction of one of the 1,000 Arrows sect disciples. Immediately, the Overturn the Ocean seal stirred up, and gusts of whirlwinds swept up in the dense forest, blowing the arrows shooting at Long Yu to the side, completely losing their accuracy. Immediately, Long Yu swooped down in the direction where the other arrows came from. Yellow Springs Barrier. With a wave of his hand, Long Yu gathered the netherworld chi and formed a layer of Yellow Springs Barrier, flashing with a layer of eerie light under the moonlight. One after another, Xianxi arrows shot towards Long Yu without any hesitation. Just 3 or 4 arrows completely shattered and destroyed the yellow springs barrier formed by Long Yu. It was clear that these arrows were not only numerous, but also powerful. Facing the unending barrage of arrows, Long Yu activated his lunar wings, and his speed instantly increased explosively. He bypassed the sky full of arrows and finally saw a 10,000-arrow sect disciple on a small hill. He was releasing his longbow true spirit and was constantly attacking him. Heart-piercing arrow rain. Seeing that Long Yu's speed had increased, the thin 1,000-arrows sect disciple did not panic. In an instant, he used Xianxi to form tens of thousands of arrows on the true spirit body of the longbow. Shoot! The scene of tens of thousands of arrows shooting at once was spectacular. Even Long Yu's expression changed. This martial technique was really powerful. These tens of thousands of arrows completely blocked his path forward. It was impossible to break through this rain of arrows and get close to the 1,000-arrows sect disciple. Long Yu was sure that even if he formed the yellow springs barrier, it would only be a moment before it was completely shattered by these arrows. Moreover, this rain of arrows was like a downpour. No matter how fast he was, he could not dodge it. Oh, right, this thing. An idea flashed across Long Yu's mind. He took out a supreme spiritual level back armor from the netherworld space. This combat weapon was a supreme spiritual level combat weapon. It should be able to withstand the rain of arrows, right? Without any hesitation, Long Yu took out the supreme spiritual level battle weapon and held it in his hand, facing the rain of arrows that were rapidly approaching him. Clang, clang, clang. The sound of metal colliding with metal spread out in all directions. Not long after, Long Yu discovered that the transcendent spirit-ranked combat weapon in his hand had been riddled with holes. This combat weapon was used by Long Yu to withstand the arrows, but it was destroyed in an instant. It could destroy a supreme, spiritual-level combat weapon with just one move. Isn't this heart-piercing arrow rain too powerful? Long Yu was stunned. Although he had blocked the heart-piercing arrow rain with the combat weapon, his body was knocked back a few dozen zhong by the powerful force of the rain of arrows. He barely managed to prevent himself from falling to the ground with the wings on his back. The 1,000-Arrows sect was one of the biggest sects in Beihai Kingdom. The strength of their disciples was naturally extraordinary. The strength of this 1,000-Arrows sect disciple was probably on par with the patriarch of the Jintian clan, Bai Yunzhou. One meteor arrow, and I'll take your life. A cold and sharp voice resounded in the night sky. Following that, Long Yu's heart skipped a beat as he sensed the approaching danger. Chapter 269. Long Yu's perception towards danger was extremely sharp. At this moment, the Xianxi and blood in his body boiled almost at the same time. The heaven-suppressing sun and the dragon of 9 underworlds in his dantian were ready to move. He raised his hand and immediately began to condense the water vapor in the surrounding air. Immediately after, an arrow appeared in the night sky. Like a shooting star, it carried boundless killing intent as it shot towards Long Yu at an extremely fast speed. The disciple of the 10,000 Arrows sect was confident enough to take Long Yu's life with this arrow. Water defense screen. With a wave of his hand, Long Yu finally displayed the middle-grade profound-level defensive martial skill, water defense screen. He had comprehended this move to the minor completion realm. If not, he wouldn't have been able to condense water vapor so quickly. When the transparent water defense screen appeared, Long Yu didn't relax, but immediately waved his hand to condense a layer of yellow spring barrier. With the water defense screen in front and the yellow spring barrier at the back, Long Yu used 2 layers of defense to resist the arrow. The arrow, like a meteor, streaked across the sky and arrived in an instant. The thin layer of water defense screen was instantly shattered, but it also reduced the power of the arrow by 30%. Not only that, but it also reflected a stream of light, which flew towards the place where the disciple of the 10,000 Arrows sect was. This was the defense of the water defense screen, which could reflect attacks. Super spiritual level combat boots. Super spiritual level leg guards. Seeing this, Long Yu immediately took out the 2 transcendent spirit ranked battle weapons he had just obtained from the 9 nether space and threw them out. After the meteor-like arrow shattered the water defense screen, it immediately shattered the yellow spring barrier. Until now, the power of the arrow still had more than 50% left. In this case, Long Yu could only throw out the combat weapons again in an attempt to block the arrow. 2 transcendent spirit ranked combat weapons, which were worth a few crystal cores, were instantly pierced through by the meteor arrow and instantly lost their effectiveness. However, just by relying on this, Long Yu was finally able to block this arrow. Heavy losses. Long Yu felt a little heartache. He had already lost 3 of his transcendent spirit ranked combat weapons. Although they were just taken from young Master Xing Liang, they were still his spoils of war. Originally, he had obtained a lot of good things in this battle. If he could find a place to exchange them for enough dawn, he would be able to rush to a higher realm of martial arts. But now, it seemed that he was back to square one because of his opponent's arrow. I really want to see how many warriors you can use. The sharp voice continued to echo, and Long Yu recognized it as one of the 2 disciples from the 10,000 Arrows sect, named Kai Shinji. An expert at the LV8 True Spirit Realm was indeed extraordinary. I have to get close to him. Long Yu gritted his teeth. Taking advantage of the fact that his opponent had yet to shoot another arrow, a pair of pitch-black dragon sparrow wings spread open on his back along with the gradient wings, carrying him toward his opponent at an extremely fast speed. If the 2 sides were far apart, Long Yu would always be at a disadvantage, and without a transcendent spirit rank combat weapon to defend himself, his life would be in danger unless he escaped. But at this moment, it was impossible for him to escape. There was only one way left, and that was to find a way to get close to his opponent. As the distance between the 2 sides closed, Long Yu saw a cold glint of an arrow flash past where Kai Shinji was. It seemed that Kai Shinji would soon use another martial skill of the 10,000 Arrow sect. Long Yu was under great pressure. This was his first time fighting against an expert at the LV8 True Spirit Realm, and his entire body was boiling. Suddenly, as if he had entered a certain state, he began to crazily absorb the spiritual chi of heaven and earth in the air. The spiritual chi of heaven and earth existed between heaven and earth, and was the foundation for all martial cultivators and demonic beasts to cultivate. The key to a martial cultivator's realm was to absorb the spiritual chi of heaven and earth to refine their body. Consuming pills, consuming monster beasts' inner cores, and other methods only served to speed up the process. The most basic training for martial arts cultivation was to absorb the spiritual chi of heaven and earth from the air, thereby stepping into a higher realm. After all, there were limited types of elixirs on the heavenly mandate continent. No one could step into the realm of oneness of heaven and human beings with elixirs alone. For the same medicinal pill, the effect of absorbing it a second time would be negligible. For any martial cultivator, the most fundamental way to improve was to absorb the heaven and earth spiritual chi from the air. Martial cultivators with different talents would absorb the spiritual chi of heaven and earth at different speeds. Previously, Long Yu relied on the 9 underworld dragon seal and had been using elixirs, demonic beasts' inner cores, etc. At this moment, although he didn't have any elixirs on him, he had entered into a wonderful state at the critical moment of life and death. The basic speed at which he absorbed the spiritual chi of heaven and earth suddenly increased by 10 times. He felt as if he had become one with the world around him. He could clearly feel the flow of the world's spiritual energy in the air around him, as well as the gathering of various laws of the world. This state allowed him to accumulate a lot of heaven and earth spiritual energy in a short period of time. Originally, he was only one step away from LV6 of the true spirit secret realm. At this moment, after absorbing the heaven and earth spiritual energy, the true spirit of the 9 underworld dragon in his Dantian had finally become more solid, and his martial Dao realm had also increased to LV6 of the true spirit secret realm. The increase in his martial Dao realm caused his aura to instantly change, and his basic strength instantly doubled. 1 meteor arrow die. The disciple of the 10,000 arrows sect, Kai Shinji, did not notice the change in Long Yu under the dark sky and continued to attack Long Yu with a meteor arrow. Water curtain, underworld barrier. A cold light flickered in Long Yu's eyes. With a wave of his hand, he condensed water chi and netherworld chi. In an instant, a thin layer of water barrier was formed, as well as a grayish-black-yellow springs barrier. He had just stepped into LV6 of the true spirit secret realm, and he immediately felt that the 2 defensive barriers he had formed were almost twice as strong as before. This was the most obvious change brought about by the increase in martial Dao realm. This was also the reason why it was so difficult for a martial cultivator to defeat an opponent of a higher martial Dao realm on the Heavenly Mandate continent. With every increase in martial Dao realm, one's basic strength would double, and the power of any martial skill would almost double. Naturally, it was not something that a martial cultivator of a lower martial Dao realm could withstand. A meteor arrow pierced through the sky and arrived in an instant. In an instant, the imperial water curtain that Long Yu had condensed was once again smashed by this arrow. However, it rebounded nearly 50% of its power. It condensed into a stream of light and flew towards Kai Shinji's location. Then, the underworld barrier in front of Long Yu completely blocked the arrow. With the increase of 1 martial Dao realm, Long Yu did not need a supreme spiritual level combat weapon to defend himself, and he could withstand Kai Shinji's meteor arrow. I don't know what kind of wonderful state I was in just now. If I could stay in that state, it would be much easier to increase my martial Dao realm, Long Yu thought to himself. Unfortunately, he knew that such a wonderful state was definitely something that could only be encountered by chance. Since he stepped into martial Dao, it was the first time he had entered such a wonderful state, and he had never heard of anyone else having such a state from this. It could be seen that it was definitely not an easy task to enter such a wonderful state. Unfortunately, there was no time for Long Yu to reflect on it now. The wings behind him spread out, and he quickly flew across the night sky. Soon, he was only 10 feet away from Kai Shinji. At this moment, Long Yu knew it was time for him to make a move. Just now, with the water curtain, Long Yu rebounded half of the power of the meteor arrow, which turned into a meteor arrow and attacked Kai Shinji himself, causing him to change his position in an instant. The meteor arrow that was rebounded instantly blasted a big hole on the top of the hill, causing the nearby smoke and dust to fill the air. However, Long Yu firmly locked on to Kai Shinji's position through his perception of killing intent. Tying force, nightmare, thunder force. Long Yu shouted sternly, and a layer of cold heaven and earth force instantly spread out, enveloping the surrounding 10 feet and enveloping Kai Shinji within it. The nightmare thunder force followed closely behind, and a series of thunder and lightning exploded out of nowhere, filling the air around Long Yu and sweeping towards Kai Shinji. Wind riding arrow. When Kai Shinji saw this, he originally wanted to continue using offensive martial arts to kill Long Yu, but now he could only immediately use his movement martial arts, condensing a wind-riding arrow, and rapidly retreat backwards. However, his speed was no match for Long Yu no matter what. Heart-piercing arrow rain. Seeing that Long Yu was about to catch up to him, Kai Shinji gritted his teeth, condensed thousands of arrows at the fastest speed, and swept towards Long Yu, covering the sky and covering the earth. If it was the previous Long Yu, he would definitely not be able to withstand the arrows that filled the sky. But now that he had stepped into LV6 true spirit secret realm, he casually condensed a layer of underworld barrier and completely blocked the thousands of heart-piercing arrow rain. Underworld barrier could only be condensed after comprehending the first skill of 9U Dragon Fist, lying drunk in Underworld. As long as one's martial arts realm was high enough, one would naturally possess a terrifying defensive ability, awakening Samsara Palm. There was still some distance between Long Yu and Kai Shinji. He swooped down from the sky like a sky eagle, and a punch condensed with Samsara force instantly enveloped Kai Shinji. Kai Shinji was horrified to find that his martial arts realm had fallen to LV7 True Spirit's secret realm. What's going on? Save me. Kai Shinji screamed in horror, and his sharp voice rang through the night sky. However, at this moment, his partner, Chi Tianpeng, was being held back by the overturning ocean seal, and could not come over to help him. In fact, the sea-overturning seal could easily deal with 2 experts at the 8th level of the True Spirit Secret Realm. However, Long Yu wanted to finish them off, so he sent the sea-overturning seal to stall Chi Tianpeng. In this way, Chi Tianpeng was being held back by the overturning ocean seal. 9U Dragon Fist. Long Yu threw a punch, and boundless Underworld Chi instantly condensed into the spirit of Underworld, binding Kai Shinji on the spot. Then a 9U explosion erupted from the ground and completely corroded Kai Shinji's body, killing him on the spot. Junior brother Kai. Chapter 270. No matter how Chi Tianpeng shouted, it was impossible for him to break through the barrier of the overturning ocean seal to save his junior brother, Kai Shinji. Soon, Kai Shinji lost his life under the erosion of the 9 Serenities Chi. Long Yu felt no guilt for killing Kai Shinji, a disciple of the 10,000 Arrows sect. Kai Shinji and Chi Tianpeng, as disciples of the 10,000 Arrows sect, came to the North Sea border city to hold a martial gathering, and even wanted the young city lord to kidnap a girl to accompany him. Obviously, they were not good people. Who knew how many people they had harmed? Unfortunately, the disciples of the 10,000 Arrows sect didn't seem to have any weapons on them. They all practiced archery and martial skills, condensed longbows, and used them in battle. So Long Yu couldn't find anything valuable on Kai Shinji. 12 crystal cores, not bad. Long Yu put away the 12 crystal cores found on Kai Shinji's body. He guessed that this was a bribe from the young city lord of the North Sea border city, so he accepted it without hesitation. Then, Long Yu raised his head and looked at the remaining disciple of the 10,000 Arrows sect, Chi Tianpeng. When Kai Shinji died, Chi Tianpeng roared loudly as if he wanted to rush over and fight Long Yu. But when Long Yu raised his head, he saw that Chi Tianpeng had fled quickly into the distance. He didn't even want to stay, let alone find Long Yu for revenge. The 10,000 Arrows sect is only SOSO. Long Yu smiled faintly. He wanted to catch up, but unfortunately, at this moment, a ray of the morning sun from the east finally penetrated the clouds and shone on the vast land. A delicate and lovely figure slightly poked her head out from the mouth of the valley. Brother Long, Sister Lu, Grandpa said that everything is ready. You can come back. Hearing this, Long Yu's heart skipped a beat. Is it finally over? He unleashed the dragon sparrow dance and flapped his pitch-black dragon sparrow wings as he flew into the sky. He immediately saw a large group of martial cultivators walking toward the valley under the rising sun on the plains outside the dense forest. The leader of the large group of martial cultivators was the city lord of the northern sea border city, Shing Feichuan. He wore the rock battle soldier armor, and his figure was extremely tall and majestic. Behind him were the 3 experts of the 9th level of the True Spirit Realm who had ambushed the old man Crane Pine, as well as a few other experts of the 7th and 8th level of the True Spirit Realm. From the looks of it, Shing Feichuan definitely wanted to capture Pine Crane, Long Yu, and the rest in one fell swoop, not giving them any chance to escape. Shing Feichuan quickly discovered Long Yu, and her eyes flashed with an ominous glint. Of course, he had already received the news that this kid named Jun Bian had cruelly murdered his son Xing Liang in the dense forest in front of the valley. This made Xing Feichuan burn with rage. Once he caught Long Yu, even if he skinned Long Yu, it would not be enough to vent the hatred in his heart. Long Yu turned around and returned to the valley. Not only was he not afraid, but he cast a provocative expression at Xing Feichuan. This expression made Xing Feichuan even more furious, but at the same time, he was also a little vigilant. This kid was so calm and collected, waiting for them to come over. Could it be that he had set up an ambush? The two of you barge into the valley directly. If you encounter anything, report to me immediately. Xing Feichuan would not put himself in danger, so he instructed the two martial cultivators of the 9th level of the true spirit realm. These two martial cultivators, as experts of the 9th level of the true spirit realm, naturally would not be easily manipulated by others. They submitted to Xing Feichuan for the sake of money and more cultivation resources, so that they could attempt to break through to the oneness of heaven and man realm. City Lord, it's understandable that you want us to explore the valley, but this could be a life-threatening task. One of the gray-robed, middle-aged men said calmly. He was already nervous when he was asked to launch a sneak attack on the gray-robed alchemist, Dusk Cranepine. After all, he had offended a powerful alchemist. After the sneak attack failed, not only did City Lord Xing Feichuan not give them any reward, he even scolded them, which made them quite unhappy. That's right, City Lord. I can enter the valley to explore the way, but please show some sincerity first. The other green-robed, middle-aged man said calmly. Be it the gray-robed, middle-aged man or the green-robed, middle-aged man, they were not fools who would be manipulated by others. Without sufficient benefits, they would not risk their lives for Xing Feichuan. I asked you to launch a sneak attack on that old man, but he managed to escape. I have yet to settle the score with you, and you still dare to bargain with me? City Lord Xing Feichuan said coldly. This is not a matter of bargaining, City Lord. We have to be moral. The gray-robed, middle-aged man said coldly. If you can't pay us enough, don't blame us for leaving. Oomph. Xing Feichuan was infuriated, but he did not dare to flare up at this moment. This was because he really needed the help of these people to deal with the gray-robed alchemist. 10 crystal cores for each person. After the task is completed, the amount will be calculated separately. Xing Feichuan's face darkened as he gave each of them 10 crystal cores. Just to investigate the valley, they were given 10 crystal cores. This reward could not be said to be low. The gray-robed and green-robed middle-aged men were not very satisfied. But if they wanted more, Xing Feichuan was not someone to be trifled with. In order to prevent Xing Feichuan from flipping out, the two of them immediately accepted the 10 crystal cores. City Lord, we will enter the valley to investigate. If we see anyone, we will report to you immediately. The gray-robed and green-robed middle-aged men accepted the 10 crystal cores and immediately cupped their fists at Xing Feichuan. They then walked slowly into the valley. There was some fog at the entrance of the valley in the morning, so people could not see too far into the valley. Long Yu, who was flying in the sky, had already landed in the valley and returned to look for Old Man Dusk Crane. It was impossible for him to appear in front of City Lord Xing Feichuan again. Soon, the gray-robed and green-robed middle-aged men walked into the valley in the fog. 1 breath, 2 breaths, City Lord Xing Feichuan and the others opened their eyes wide, waiting for the two to bring out the news, especially Xing Feichuan. Because his son had died here, he wanted to capture Long Yu no matter what and tear his corpse into 10,000 pieces to vent the hatred in his heart. However, to everyone's surprise, after an hour had passed, there was no longer any news from the two people who had entered the valley. It was as if they had vanished into thin air. It was as if the two of them had each taken 10 crystal cores and escaped. Go in and take a look. Xing Feichuan's face darkened as he took out 10 crystal cores and handed them to the martial cultivator of the true spirit realm. 10. The remaining man in a red robe glanced at the crystal cores in Xing Feichuan's hand and sneered. Those two fellows entered the valley and did not come out. They must have encountered some danger. You want me to go in alone to investigate? Do you think a mere 10 crystal cores can stop me? Your movement skill is the best, so you're the most suitable person to go in. Xing Feichuan said indifferently. If the two of them run away, their crystal cores will be yours. If there is any danger in the valley, you can send out the news, and I will give you more. That's fine too. City Lord, remember what you said. The red-robed martial cultivator took the 10 crystal cores and knew that Xing Feichuan was afraid that his movement skill was too powerful and that he would run away. The red-robed martial cultivator was disdainful. If he stayed by Xing Feichuan's side, he would be constantly rewarded and obtain more cultivation resources. If he ran away, where would he find such a good place to serve? The red-robed martial cultivator walked around and used his movement skill. His entire body turned into a crimson thread, and he quickly entered the valley. This was the power of the mysterious jade law that he had comprehended. It allowed him to turn into crimson threads. Whether it was used for pursuit or escape, or to investigate the enemy, it was extremely effective. As the red-robed martial cultivator turned into a crimson thread and entered the mist-covered valley, Xing Feichuan and the rest of the people became nervous. They did not know if the two martial cultivators at the 9th level of the True Spirit Secret Realm had really encountered danger or had taken the opportunity to escape. And now, the red-robed martial cultivator who had entered had cultivated a powerful movement skill and turned into a crimson thread. Could he bring out any useful information? Everyone waited anxiously. 10 breaths of time passed, but there was no news from the valley. Soon, another hour passed. The sun had risen, but the red-robed martial cultivator still had not emerged from the valley. City Lord, something is wrong. This made many of the people that Xing Feichuan had brought feel extremely uneasy. Someone whispered to Xing Feichuan, "Do I need you to tell me that?" Xing Feichuan harumphed coldly. His eyes flashed fiercely as he stared at the entrance of the valley. Not only was there no news coming from the valley, more importantly, there was not even the slightest sound of fighting. This phenomenon was extremely abnormal, causing Xing Feichuan's face to darken. Could it be that those 3 fellows had really taken the crystal cores and left? That was impossible. Xing Feichuan had treated the 3 of them quite well. At least, if they stayed by his side, they would receive 10 crystal cores every month. It could be said to be a great job. Could it be that the 3 of them had met with some accident in the valley? Xing Feichuan thought that it should not be possible. After all, if they had met with an accident, there should have been some sound of fighting, right? In reality, after the 3 of them entered the valley, it was like a stone sinking into the ocean. There was not the slightest ripple. Surround the valley. Report to me immediately if there is any movement. Xing Feichuan gave the order with a solemn face, ordering the martial cultivators behind him to surround the entrance of the valley. However, after being surrounded, he did not dare to act rashly. The disappearance of the 3 people before him had increased his vigilance to the extreme. If it was not to ensure his safety, he would definitely not take any action. To Xing Feichuan, compared to avenging his son, his own life was obviously more important. However, he did not know that at this very moment, in the valley, the gray-robed pill master, Shi Husong, together with Long Yu, Lu Yuan, and Shi Yingwu, were looking at the 3 unconscious martial cultivators with a smile. Chapter 271. After a night, the gray-robed alchemist, Pine Crane Tree, managed to refine a powdery medicine that could be dispersed into the air in the form of white smoke. Coupled with the white smoke produced in the morning, no one would be able to detect the powdery medicine. Once inhaled, even an LV9 True Spirit Realm expert would fall unconscious. Unless one consumed the antidote beforehand, there was no way to cure it. The old man, Pine Crane Tree, gave the antidote to Long Yu and the others. Then, he turned the powdery medicine into white smoke, causing it to spread throughout the entire valley. The valley had become Pine Crane Tree's territory. Anyone who entered would be at his mercy. A total of 50 crystal cores. Not bad. Long Yu searched the bodies of the 3 LV9 true spirit realm experts and was satisfied with the 50 crystal cores he found. You can keep these 50 crystal cores for yourself. Pine Crane Tree smiled faintly. He was not greedy for the 50 crystal cores. To him, crystal cores were easily obtainable. He could easily exchange them for a few elixirs. There was no need for him to snatch them from Junior. Most importantly, he owed Long Yu a favor. Long Yu had saved his granddaughter, Shi Yingwu, from the hands of the young city lord. Not only did he not thank him, he repaid Long Yu's kindness with enmity. This was a double favor. Pine Crane knew that he still had a long way to go to repay Long Yu. These 50 crystal cores could be considered as interest. Long Yu did not stand on ceremony and kept the 50 crystal cores into his pouch. He thought to himself that he would be able to buy a lot of elixirs when he returned to LV7 True Spirit Realm. Of course, he was worried that he would not be able to buy high-grade elixirs, even if he had the crystal cores. That would be troublesome. However, this was not something that Long Yu should be thinking about right now. Old Shi, what should we do with these 3 guys? Lu Yuan, who was dressed in black, asked as she stood beside Sunset Dance in a white dress. Abetting the evil, cripple your cultivation, Sunset Crane said coldly. Then, he took action personally and destroyed their Dantian, destroying their LV9 True Spirit Secret Realm cultivations. All the wealth on them was plundered by Long Yu. Now, their cultivation was crippled by Sunset Crane Pine. Their lives could be said to be completely finished. Pine Crane was already being very merciful by not taking their lives. After all, these were accomplices who had almost ruined the life of his granddaughter, Shi Yingwu. I just don't know if the city lord of the North Sea border city will come in. Long Yu looked at the entrance of the valley with interest. He could see that there were already many martial cultivators guarding the entrance of the valley. Although they did not dare to enter, they were firmly blocking the entrance. It could be seen that City Lord Xing Feichuan was hesitating, but that didn't mean he wouldn't come in. We still have an entire morning before the effects of the soulless powder wear off. Pine Crane Pine said, it would be best if Xing Feichuan enters the valley, but if he doesn't, then let him be. We'll leave this place on our own. The North Sea border city has already suffered a great loss this time. Not only did Xing Feichuan lose his son, but 4 of his LV9 True Spirit Realm subordinates were also crippled. Lu Yuan shook her head and sighed. That's what they asked for. Long Yu chuckled. He did not have the slightest bit of pity for Xing Feichuan. He wanted Pine Crane Pine to kill Xing Feichuan with the help of the ocean overturning seal. Unfortunately, Pine Crane Pine seemed to have some reservations about it. After all, Xing Feichuan was the city lord of the North Sea border city. He was not like the other martial cultivators of the pugilistic world. The North Sea country had publicly acknowledged Xing Feichuan's position as the city lord. If they killed Xing Feichuan, they would undoubtedly be going against the entire North Sea country. Even Pine Crane Pine, LV9 True Spirit Realm Elixir Master, would not dare to do that. The 4 of them waited for an entire morning. As expected, Xing Feichuan did not have the guts to enter the valley. He only sent a few of his subordinates to explore the valley. Unfortunately, none of his subordinates managed to bring any news out. They were all unconscious in the valley, and all their belongings were taken away by Long Yu. In just one morning, Long Yu had obtained a total of 70 crystal cores. It was a huge sum of money. These crystal cores were most likely given by Xing Feichuan to the martial cultivators who came to explore the valley. Otherwise, they wouldn't have come in so obediently. Pine Crane Pine narrowed his eyes. You've gotten lucky this time. Even an old man like me would have to put in a lot of effort to earn 70 crystal cores. Since it's Xing Feichuan's, I have no qualms about taking it. Long Yu laughed. The soul disappearing powder's effect is about to wear off. Let's go. Pine Crane Pine nodded. He held his granddaughter, Shi Yingwu, and used the wind manipulation martial technique to fly up into the sky above the valley. Long Yu did not hesitate. The black wings on his back spread out, and he reached out to Lu Yuan. Lu Yuan blushed slightly, but still reached out to hold Long Yu's hand tightly. Rise! The wings on Long Yu's back spread out, and he took off. The four of them flew up into the sky from the valley and quickly flew into the distance. Their speed was so fast that the people in North Sea Border City who were guarding outside the valley could not catch up. Many of them wanted to use their martial techniques to knock the four of them down. But before long, the four of them had already risen into the clouds and completely disappeared from their sight. At this moment, Xing Feichuan could finally understand the situation in the valley. What? They've been crippled? Xing Feichuan's eyes widened when he saw the three experts at LV9 True Spirit Secret Realm. How could three experts at LV9 True Spirit Secret Realm be crippled so easily? Moreover, he didn't even hear the slightest sound of fighting. In other words, they had been killed without a sound. Xing Feichuan felt a chill in his heart. Offending a high-level elixir master was not going to be easy. At this moment, even if Xing Feichuan regretted it, there was no one who could make him vent his anger or teach him a lesson. Xing Liang, who had caused all this, was dead. If he wanted to blame someone, he could only blame himself for not educating his son properly. In the northeast of North Sea Kingdom, there was a vast forest deep in the mountains. The Heartless Mountain Range was the name of this mountain range. It was called this because there were several powerful demonic beasts named Heartless in this mountain range. For example, the Heartless Demon Blade, the Heartless Mountain Cat, the Heartless Dark Tiger, and so on. The biggest characteristic of these demonic beasts was that they always acted alone. Of course, these solitary heartless demonic beasts were not something that ordinary martial cultivators could handle. Even an expert in the unity of True Spirit Realm would need 3 to 5 people to barely handle one. As time passed, the Heartless Mountain Range became a deserted place. Occasionally, powerful martial cultivators would form small teams to enter and hunt 1 or 2 heartless demonic beasts. Long Yu held Lu Yuan tightly and flapped the lunar wings on his back. Soon, he followed the elderly elixir master and pine crane to the Heartless Mountain Range. The Heartless Mountain Range is where Xiao Wu and I live. Pine crane said calmly as he rode the wind. Heartless Mountain Range? That's a good name. Long Yu smiled. Will Elder she be called the Heartless Elixir Master? Yes, but that was in the past. Pine crane was stunned for a moment before he shook his head and pointed to a higher peak in the middle of the mountain range. Let's go down. We'll stay there from now on. The Heartless Mountain Range was thousands of miles away from the Tang Kingdom and Mixed Sound City. The reason why Long Yu had followed Pine Crane here was because they had agreed on the way. Pine Crane would teach Long Yu alchemy as repayment and compensation to Long Yu. Long Yu was naturally happy to accept this. As long as he could learn alchemy, he would not have to worry about improving his martial arts realm, even if he was alone in the deep mountains and forests. Moreover, alchemy was an extremely useful way to make money. It was common knowledge that elixir masters were the wealthiest group in the Heavenly Mandate continent. Soon, the four of them landed on the peak that Pine Crane had pointed to. The reason why Lu Yuan followed them was because she had nowhere else to go. She might as well follow Long Yu to cultivate and comprehend the power of the lunar heavenly tablet. Along the way, Sunset Crane's granddaughter, the little girl, Sunset Dance, didn't say anything. It was obvious that this girl was rather taciturn. However, she was still very respectful toward her grandfather, Pine Crane. The conditions here are simple. Brother Long, Miss Lu, if you want to stay here, you'll have to build a wooden hut. Pine Crane pointed to the only wooden hut on the peak. There were 3 rooms in the wooden hut. Pine Crane and Shi Yingwu lived in 2 of the bedrooms, and the other was the alchemy room. It was obvious that the old and the young lived here often, so the wooden hut was very clean. It was a simple matter to build a wooden hut. Long Yu and Lu Yuan worked together and quickly gathered many ancient tree trunks from the surroundings. They built another wooden hut together. This wooden hut was not far from Pine Crane's hut. There was a small forest between them, but it was divided into 4 rooms. Long Yu and Lu Yuan each had 2 rooms. This is the depths of the Heartless Mountain Range. Very few martial arts cultivators can come here. Moreover, I've refined a type of medicine near this mountain all year round to keep all demonic beasts away. Pine Crane's words let Long know that he might be isolated from the rest of the world for the rest of his life. At least, he would not leave this mountain before he learned alchemy. The life of learning alchemy soon began just like that. Due to the remote location, there were almost no battles. Long was not in a hurry to raise his martial arts realm. Instead, he first consolidated his current strength. Duskcrane Pine left the mountain alone and went to the nearby Passionless Mountain range to gather medicinal ingredients. You're tuning into the Warrior Lore YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.